Finally, some peace and quiet. This is Aaron?
And this is Making the Bed.
Oh, son of a...
Hi, Aaron.
You guys are here again.
Yep, we're here.
We are always here.
I thought we finished the first season. I thought finally I could just relax and go through things and start editing and figuring some stuff out, but...
Well, you thought wrong there, bud.
Yeah, somehow we're still recording.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Sorry about that.
That's why we got you out of bed to do this.
Yep, exactly. So, this is a new thing that we're going to do, and it's called Making the Bed. I had this idea that, like, Aaron first had this idea that we should do seasons. We should do 10 episodes and call it a season. I really like that idea, but I wanted to do something in between the seasons, like a little housekeeping bit. Somewhat housekeeping, but also somewhat just us hanging out together, where we don't have a normal guest with us, but we talk about how we think the podcast has gone so far, so how we think it's going, and then also talk about what gets us out of bed, like recently, what has been getting us out of bed, things that we've been into recently, or whatever. I don't know. Does that sound like a thing we should do? Is that...
Yeah, let's put a warm blanket and tuck everybody in.
Yeah. Everybody, why don't you go on and get into bed, and
just snuggle up.
I'm working on my ASMR.
Topher and Matt are just gonna put you to sleep.
It's like Fran from the Nightlight right there, Nightlife or whatever. What a 1.9.
Welcome to my lullaby. This is Topher with his lullaby.
And this is Delilah taking love requests.
There it is.
Well,
there it is.
Love requests or like relationship advice? Is that a relationship?
Delilah does both.
Oh, she does. Can you please explain to the listeners what a love request is?
It's when somebody is not with the person they love, but they feel like they should be talking to them, but they don't. Instead, they call a radio show.
Okay.
And then they're like, Delilah, I just love my boyfriend so much that I just had to tell them.
But I couldn't tell them. So I'm telling you.
It's 10:45 at night. They're probably asleep. But I want to send this dedication of Disco Duck out to my love.
There it is. I like that.
And then Delilah goes, ooh, Disco Duck. Okay, this is Disco Duck.
How many songs are out there called Disco Duck? Actually,
one.
Who sings
Rick Dees, a world famous DJ in the 1980s.
Rick Dees, okay.
Rick Dees Nuts.
No, I was waiting for that. There it is.
Man.
No, but there really is a guy named Rick Dees. Trust me, D-E-S.
Why do you know this?
I spent a lot of time before I got married with a lot of time on my hands. And a lot of Google searching happening. Nope, we're not taking it there. We are not taking it there.
Good.
This is a family show. No F-bombs and making the bed.
Oh, that's true.
Oh, we don't get one?
No. Shit.
F, no.
So if I were to call you up, Matt, and say that I wanted to talk about my love life with Chris, a.k.a. Topher.
Yes.
And I would like to send a message out to him, even though he's right here. Mm-hmm. Could I get a song request about how much I hate him?
Oh, of course.
Okay, good. And what would you recommend for that? If you had to throw a song
Adam
out there?
Sandler in The Wedding Singer, where he makes up the song on the fly. It all was bullshit.
Well, Chris, that goes out to you.
Have you been to Warped Tour recently? Because that sounds like a Wonder Years song to me.
Yeah. So you don't know about Delilah?
I mean, I know about those types of like.
She's on your mother's favorite radio station,
101.9 Light FM.
I'm gonna listen to it on the way home.
That sounds about right.
They stopped playing Christmas music to do Delilah at night.
That's good. You're.
It's like what's his name? Who's the old DJ that used to do Shaggy and Scooby Doo? Casey Kasem.
Casey Kasem.
Oh, yeah.
And he used to take out dedications.
Case Keenum.
Yeah, Case Keenum.
Oh,
He's
man.
been on the radio for the last 50 years.
Well, he certainly hasn't been winning football games.
There's a really famous, you've got to listen to it if you haven't heard it, where he sends out a he's told to do a dedication to a dead dog.
Oh.
And he's
I heard that on 98 Rock. Yeah. Go ahead.
And he's like, and it's all these files that you should never hear. It's like the Bill O'Reilly on Inside Edition, just going nuts. And Casey
Kasem. You were about to say Casey.
Is like known as like the world's nicest DJ outside of Dick Clark. And he's like, "You're gonna give me a freaking dog dedication coming out of a break? Oh my freaking Lord." And he just like flips out. He's like, "Now back to dedicating this one out to puffers who died recently."
It's pretty epic.
That was a really good Casey Kasem
It was
impression.
pretty terrible. I do a really good Shaggy, but not a good
Do you?
Casey Kasem.
Well, you can't just be like, "Oh, I do this good impression" without doing the impression.
Well, hold on. Like Zoink Scoob.
That's good.
actually pretty good. That's not bad.
Like no way, no how Scoob.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to go with like It Wasn't Me, but that's a totally different Shaggy. That's not what I expected.
And a far superior Shaggy. Let's be honest. Somebody that is capable of lying that blatantly about him.
Caught me on the bathroom counter. Right?
It wasn't me. It was not me. I didn't do it. Wasn't me. I
that man
promise.
is invested in his lives.
Yeah. His fingerprints matched me. Nope, wasn't me.
Like Zoinks.
We did a DNA test on Maury. Nope, wasn't me.
Can we
wasn't
actually
me,
let's
Scoob.
let's redo that song and have you do like that Shaggy voiceover. Someone had to have done that on the
It
internet.
wasn't me.
Right?
That was a
That's got to be on there somewhere.
Yeah. That'd be good.
So, jumping back on, we've got 10 episodes. Oh, Frankie's here.
Frankie's here. Come on
There we
in,
go.
Frankie.
Now we have to focus.
Frankie's
we can't just
here.
randomly talk
All right,
about stuff.
stop saying inappropriate things, guys. My fiance's here.
We've got to stop
You
doing
guys gotta be
cartoon
appropriate.
characters.
Here, have a beer.
Inappropriate things.
Sit on the couch, have a beer.
There you go.
Hello.
Yeah.
I got you a beer.
Edit this later.
No, you're gonna be in
No,
it.
no, this
you're
is
here.
definitely
You're here.
not
Put
getting
them
on the cutting
headphones
room
on,
floor.
girl.
There you go. Yeah, you want these? They might be more comfortable.
If the first 5 minutes of this broadcast doesn't hit the cutting room floor, then you're definitely not hitting.
Yeah,
the
this
cutting room
is
floor.
just. We're just making the bed, guys. We're just making the bed.
So we've got 10 episodes done.
That is true.
And before we maybe even get into specifics of things that we really liked or moved us or, just things we didn't expect, any of that crazy stuff, from more of a surface level, how do you guys feel about it? What do you think? What I guess from a very broad perspective, what did you like that we did, and what do you think we can do going forward into the next season? Like maybe ideas that you have, something you want to do better, anything.
I like that we got into real depth with people, where it starts out kind of silly. It's like, all right, we're getting to know you, yeah. And we're just two dudes hanging out. And then all of a sudden, people are spilling their guts. There's no guarantee that just because you ask people questions that they're going to really share. There were definitely episodes early on, I think, where we were not pulling teeth, but we were at least nudging teeth.
Kind of, getting your feet wet. Very much like kind of getting a flow to it.
I think a lot of that is our learning curve and us figuring out. Open that baby up. Frankie's just sitting there. She wanted to be quiet. She's like, I'm not going to open my beer.
You want to do the honors?
Yeah, Frankie,
Chris does it every time.
I do it
so
every
it's your
time.
turn.
Open the beer into the microphone.
Right in the microphone.
That's why they have a windscreen, so you don't. There you
it's
go.
Miller time.
That's
Ooh.
going in the sound files.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. She was sitting there politely with a closed beer, just waiting.
That was Frankie opening up a can of whoop ass on all of us.
Exactly.
That's the kind of party we got going on here at Out of Bed.
Yeah, exactly.
Very
Chris-
dainty open of a beer.
Very, very polite.
So I think.
Go away in.
So I think with what Matt was saying, I think we had some episodes that were super heavy, and and they got very deep, but I also think some of the episodes they didn't, and they didn't need to. It
was a good balance.
Like we
honestly.
still got like I think some of those episodes where we're pulling a little bit more, trying to pull more out of some people. I think that's a part of our learning curve as like people that are sitting down, because you get into these conversations with your friends at parties and things like that, or just random strangers at parties, where you end up spilling your guts because it just happens. Right. Which is kind of why I wanted to do the podcast, but that changes a little bit when you have headphones on and a microphone in front of your face. Like it starts to become a much more real conversation, real in the sense that it's like there's like weight to it, because it's like, oh, this could go out on the internet to people.
Well, and to both your credits as hosts too, I think that, again, like Matt, like you started to say, it was a little rough in the beginning, but as you guys started to kind of get a feel to how things would go, as we got more experience with person after person, I think you guys got very good at making the podcast and the room comfortable, that people were okay to share that stuff. Mm-hmm. Even Chris adding the candles, funny enough, that I do make fun of you for.
Everybody makes fun of my candles.
Yeah.
I love my candles.
But it's like the littlest thing that even that, like subconsciously, I think makes people feel it's a little more relaxing. It's a little more comfortable, and they're more willing. And the stuff that you ask, you kind of ease into getting people to open up about some serious stuff.
And because honestly, for me, the podcast is not about, hey, let's try to make our friends cry on a microphone. Like, and not that
that's exactly
that's in season 2.
That's
worry,
in season 2. Yeah, we got some heavy ones. We'll get some heavy ones, I'm sure. But for me, the podcast was really, I want to sit down with friends and just talk to them about whatever they're passionate about. And for some people, like Megan or Catherine, the thing that they were passionate about, or Sean too, the thing they were passionate about was teaching people and educating and like helping somebody grow. And so naturally that is going to be a deeper topic. Mm-hmm. But when you talk to somebody like Evan, maybe his topic, like the thing that he's passionate about is wrestling and streetwear, and trying to make selling that kind of stuff a living for him.
And Greg with music too.
Music, like
he got deep a little bit, but a lot of it was just about music.
And that's and so those topics, they might just be more fun. So I think for me, I think the podcast needs to be whatever the guest needs it to be.
Let them kind of drive. You just sort of throw some it's almost like you guys kind of like give them a map and let them pick what road they want to go down.
Exactly.
Some of them came super prepared for like I think like I forget who it was, but they were like, listen, here's the way this podcast is going to go. And all of a sudden they were like, I get out of bed because of this. And we were like, whoa.
Yeah, wait, who was...
We asked the questions.
Was that? I think that was Megan and Sean, wasn't it?
Was it?
I think it was Megan and Sean.
It wasn't the Instagram girl, right?
It wasn't. No, it wasn't Katie.
No, it wasn't Katie.
Sorry. Instagram woman.
Yeah, really. Oh, man.
No, I think you're right. I think it was Megan and Sean. I think
Megan and Sean, because Megan started going right away. Yeah. And that's her, I think. Like, she is very, like, gung-ho, like, let's do this kind of thing. And I think again, I keep saying like what I wanted the podcast to be, and I want to make it clear, like when I had this idea for this podcast, it was something that I wanted to do, and Matt and I were already working together on something that wasn't really working out, and I was like, I want to do this, and he was like, yes, 100% on board, let's do that. And then I told Aaron about it, and it was like, oh, we're like, I've got mics and stuff if you want to use them, and I was like, okay, sure. And then you just became our producer, and it did become like this joint collaboration. But I guess in my mind, for me, I have had a lot of people in my life that have listened to me vent about things that I'm passionate about, whether it be wrestling or superheroes or comic books or music or whatever. I've had people in my life that have been nice enough to just engage with me in the things that I'm passionate about, and the more and more I'm learning that other people don't always have that. And so I think, like, to call Frankie out in a good way, like Frankie was like, I'm really excited to just hear the three of us talking, and I'm excited for that too. But for me, more than anything, it is not about us, but about giving a platform to our friends to just vent about the things that they're passionate about and being able to be that sounding board that you guys and my family and other friends have been for me in the past.
Like, one of the things that I found attractive about it was that there was going to be this idea that it was like somehow a hang that all of a sudden developed into kind of like a party.
Yeah.
Like I think about the episode with Ben. We didn't know him at all, right? You didn't know Ben before.
I didn't know Ben before this. I mean, Aaron knew him.
Yeah.
So Aaron knows him.
Yeah.
He walks in here, and then after about 2 minutes, we find out, okay, so he works at Howl at the Moon. And then by the end of the episode, he's got a guitar. Your friend is sitting in the
My friend
middle.
Emily is with us.
Emily's there.
Oh, yeah.
All of a sudden, we've got a jam session. We're doing Eminem covers.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what am I a part of right now?
Yeah.
Like in no way was I prepared, like 2 hours prior, to see it go that way. But I was thinking back. I was like, this is kind of the stuff like when I in the 90s, I used to watch like Stern stuff, Howard Stern stuff on like E, where it just felt like it was a hang.
Yeah.
And people just had mics in front of them and they were just like BSing their way through it. And that felt like that. I was like, this is different.
Well, and that's something, and I'll lead off to both of you guys answering this as well after I kind of put my own input, but that's something looking at season 2 as far as things that we may want to try or do different or just things to come. I really like, maybe not every time, but occasionally I like the idea of bringing in a guest that you guys don't know. And that you and I don't tell you, because when we started this, I was saying, okay, this is so and so, he or she is into this, and then you're like, okay, cool, and then you kind of knew it was coming.
Yeah.
But occasionally, I like to throw that little curveball to see how you guys handle it, and I think it's kind of made you better at like what questions to ask and how to dodge around certain things and ask the right things and all that. And I think it's kind of cool. So that's something in season 2 that I definitely want to keep doing. Again, not all the time, but occasionally bring somebody in and not give you any background. Let you figure out who it is and why they're important or what they're into. The other thing too is I like I want to try different ways of kind of being a little more spontaneous with how we do certain things about the podcast.
Okay.
For example, one of the things we were trying to do this season, it didn't work out, was like a blind taste test. Like actually bring in somebody who makes food, and you guys have to not even know what this food is and try it and try to figure out
Katie
what's
was
the
going to
connection.
do that, right?
Yeah,
Katie's gonna do
exactly.
that, yeah.
Exactly. And the whole idea that worked out funny was in the episode before her, right before her, Jimmy had come in and he talked with you guys about fitness a lot. I think it was him. Actually, it might have been Sean.
Yeah, Sean.
Yeah,
Either way.
definitely him.
Yeah. So he was talking about fitness stuff, and you guys went into this whole thing about like, oh, like I should maybe cook more or try like different foods or blah, blah, blah. So it gave me the idea, like, what if I bring in Katie with all these alternate ways to make food with like healthier stuff and make you guys try to like guess what it is.
Right.
So little ideas like that. I do have a couple of those planned for season 2, and I think it's going to be pretty exciting. And right before I pass this back off to you guys, because I've been given a huge answer for this, the other thing too would be I'd like to try to do 2 really exciting things, see if they come through or not. One would be to do a podcast on location,
Yeah.
where we actually go somewhere else and do it outside of the room. And the other one that Chris, you and I talked about that's pretty cool is the speed dating idea of like we, instead of doing an hour plus episode about one person, what gets them out of bed, we actually put like a chess timer or something. And we just like, you get this many minutes to like talk about your thing. We try to ask as many questions as we can. And then we
Excuse
say,
me. Sorry.
you're done, and rotate the next person in and see how many we can get through.
Do we acknowledge that burp or no?
It wasn't that.
I mean, I
noteworthy.
give it a 6.
All right.
I appreciate that. It's a little generous, but thank you.
Your idea about the speed dating,
Yeah.
like our location is right outside or right next to a church.
Right.
Wouldn't that be funny if like we did it on a Sunday and like people
As
just
people were
streamed
coming
that
out?
of church?
I don't know how Father Patrick would feel about that.
If
but
we could make it work, it would be cool.
yeah,
but
maybe.
Like all the
Well-
walks of life that go into like, not necessarily, we're not making it a faith-based thing, but like all the walks of life of the people that like not everybody's the same that walks into a building, even
Right.
though they might have a commonality.
Right. Well, and the other thing too is if maybe not in the church, the Bible study people might be up for that too.
Yeah.
You know, there's For those that don't know, we occasionally have one of those here.
Yeah,
Since
well,
we're
so
helping the church.
that I would definitely be down with.
Yeah.
The Bible study people. So that's one thing that I struggle with is we have so many people
We do.
that we want to get on. And I think it's tough because we want to first off we want to have variety.
Mm-hmm.
Second off, we want to kind of like spread people out. So we don't want to have like the same exact type of people. Like at the
Right,
very beginning we
right.
had like 3 or 4 musicians like right in a row.
Yeah.
And that was fine, but it would have been nice to spread them out. And so that's one thing that I struggle with is trying to get the right guest for the right episode. Cause I know that both Aaron and I have significant others that are like, hey, where's our episode? And we definitely want to get them. Yeah. Frankie's like, I've been in the background for plenty of these, but I'm ready to shine. I'm a star.
Well, and I'd love...
I'm a businesswoman. Pay attention to me.
I've got business to talk about. We're going to talk about business. It's business time.
I'd love to mix it up age-wise too. I think everybody we've had on here is about
We
the
need
same
some
age,
old
which is
people.
our age.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, not even just old
Except
people,
me.
but I mean maybe even somebody a little younger than us who is just starting to figure out the world.
What's that one
You
kid?
know,
Let's
like-
get that Justin Roberts kid. 6 figures. I was only 4. That kid? Yes, that guy. You know?
No, but yeah,
He's on. Actually, Matt, you kind of look like him. So there's a star on YouTube. He's a part of Team 10, which is Jake Paul's crew. Frankie and I watch a lot of YouTube.
what even is that?
And there's
Jake Paul is a YouTuber that loves to be in front of the camera.
yeah, and
I'm too old
he
for you
boxes
guys.
too. So there's a kid in his crew who is probably like 17 or 18 at this point. And he has a song called 6 Figures. And
Said like that, with that accent.
so I do want to
It's
look
like
up
50 Cent.
Yeah, like not
Frankie,
figures,
Could I see
but
my
like
phone real quick?
Figures.
Here, let me
like former Baltimore Ravens kickoff returner Yaman Figures.
let me
I covered him for 2 years.
I'm going to read
That was a good reference.
Right?
I'm gonna read some of the lyrics for you. 6 figures, I was only 4. So much money, I can't see the floor. I don't even open my own door. I was iced out when I was 4. Blew it all, then I got some more. Blew it all, then I got some more. What else do we got here? There's some good ones. I'm trying to find.
So this is a rapper kid?
He's a kid. There a lot of YouTubers like
Is he like
put
that
out
little
rap songs.
Xan rapper?
No.
Oh, no.
Lil Xan is I think bad, but he is actually a rapper.
Isn't he
this
out of
kid
the
is a
game 'cause the
YouTuber that
Cheetos?
puts out like music videos. Like there are YouTubers that just put out music. Like
Okay.
Logan Paul and Jake Paul have put out a bunch of diss tracks and things like that.
Okay.
But anyway, so there's another line here. Making history, you should take a note. Asked for a friend, you got a quote. My girlfriend wanted to elope. My grandma said nope. Thank God my grandpa is the Pope.
Yeah, get this kid on the show.
Is this grandpa actually the Pope?
And I'm only saying get him on the show because I might want to punch him.
I know. But hold on one second, because I'm going to look him up. And
here I
looks-
thought Justin Bieber was the end of civilization, but apparently there's always something waiting around the corner.
See, the thing is, Justin Bieber, he's actually like talented.
Somebody gave me a gift this week with young Justin Bieber on it. Like
So-
as a rapping.
Do you see
He
it?
looks like he's trying to be a
That
Justin
looks like
Bieber.
that looks like
Oh,
the
you-
dude that
wait,
was in,
Matt.
Matt.
Oh, look, it's like
Uh-huh.
a kind of
hair?
Yeah,
The
the hair.
hair?
Tilt your head a little bit, like so you're matching the picture. Chris has got a picture up on his phone.
Yeah,
next to Matt's head.
So
we can
Justin
compare.
Roberts, please go on YouTube and
Let me
look,
see that again.
look up
Let me punch her phone.
look up 6 figures. I was only 4.
He looks like that dude that was in Fault in Our Stars.
Oh, he does. I don't know his name, but
I have not even seen that.
Ansel Oglensort.
Ansel
Ansel
Elgort.
Adams?
Ansel
He
Elgort.
was Baby Driver.
He was Baby Driver. Ansel
oh
Elgort.
yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, all right, I
Yeah.
can see that.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was
Anyway,
in Fault
6
in Our
figures. I
Stars.
was only 4.
Yeah.
I'm
yeah.
so out of the loop, man.
He was
So
he
you
was
want to
the
have
Fault.
younger people on the show?
And older. Yeah. But no, I think everybody that we have kind of being around that same age group, like obviously the stories are different and all that, but it's very interesting to see people that are also on top of their story being different, being in different walks of life as well.
Yeah.
And especially when you're younger and you're trying to figure out like, where am I going with life, versus a lot of
Wait,
people we have
younger?
are well,
I'm
versus
still trying to figure out what I'm doing.
like, well, yeah, true. But I mean, at least like, you've got a steady job. At least you're kind of starting to figure out like, this is what my family's going to be. This is kind of where my living situation is going to be.
Yeah.
But you talk to somebody who's just getting out of like college or something or going into it, and it's way different. Like they have no idea. They're not even thinking about that yet.
Right.
And on the flip side of that, you've got these older people who have seen so much more already happen in the world, and they're even looking down at us like we would be looking at those younger people saying like, oh, you have no idea where you're going to be in 10, 20 years,
Well, we do have a couple of those people like on that we've talked to that are a little bit older. Like I know like Father Marty wants to be on. I would love to have Father Marty
Right.
on.
I would really like some diversity on the show. Like,
like
As white men starting a podcast, kind of the market's kind of been like covered.
Like it is two white dudes talking to another white person.
Yeah.
Like, and that's a thing. But like like I would love to just have all types of different experiences. Like people come in here and just sort of sharing where they came from, how they how they process the world.
right.
Like, because I think like we learn and we grow when we hear what other experiences are happening in the world and around us. Like Baltimore, I mean, we're based in Baltimore. Baltimore is a diverse town. And it's got like many different stories. Back when I was a reporter, I wanted to do this thing where like I just brought in two opposite people and just had them sit down at a diner and talk. And that kind of thing I'd love to just hear, like, instead of a diner.
Isn't that what CNN and Fox News do? They just bring in two different people and they yell at each other a while.
They just bring in a pawn.
No, I'm just kidding.
Pretty much.
like the idea of like a priest and a rabbi sitting at a table.
Okay, now all right,
it's the start of a joke, but like,
something could come out of that.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, and the good thing about us too is the best thing about podcasting is the fact that we are kind of the controllers of our destiny. There's no contract. There's no someone saying, well, you don't have enough listeners, so your season's over. There's nobody that's going to cut us. Like, we're going to do this as long as we want to do this. So
unless Frankie says no.
unless Frankie cuts it off.
By the way, Aaron, I think I'm going to cut it after this episode.
Yeah. All right. Well, it was a good first season. Good run.
It was a good run.
And that's that.
Yep.
That's putting the bed
To bed.
That's making the bed.
The bed has
bed
been
out of its misery.
Yeah. See, we went to very different places. I was like, I'm going to tuck the bed in, and you're like, I'm going to shoot it behind the
I want to
woodshed.
take it out back.
I'm going to throw it out the window.
I'm going to give it the Bambi's mom treatment.
The old Yeller treatment. Oh, man.
Matt, your turn. Name a movie where an animal dies.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man. Pet Cemetery?
Well, this guy,
That's a lot of animals.
I mean, he comes back, though.
Doesn't the cat get killed a second time?
A second time, yeah.
Yeah.
And the, spoiler alert, and the kid.
Oh, man. Frankie takes her headphones off.
I Am Legend, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't Will Smith have to like...
Actually, you know what? Wait. So this might lead into another cool thing to talk about, because you said we were going to talk about some stuff that we've been doing personally.
You've been killing dogs?
I've been killing animals after bringing them back. And I got to tell you, it is a pastime. It is wonderful. No.
Holy Cross is built on a pet cemetery.
Right.
Yeah, figure it out, bud.
I know. And I'm about to segue this, which is unbelievable, but I have actually been to the Pet Cemetery house that it was filmed
Oh,
at,
that's right.
and the graveyard, and like a bunch of other things in there. I know,
You just
weird.
did that a couple weeks
He's got
ago.
Yeah.
like a little Stephen
Yeah.
King thing. Yeah.
So outside of this, I'm also, and this is why I have all the equipment that we use for the podcast, I'm also doing an audio drama, and it's based off of works of like H.P. Lovecraft, and I pull some ideas off of some Stephen King stuff and all that. So myself and Deanna and Wes, who was on the show as our last episode, actually right before this, we went up to Maine for a weekend and actually visited all those places, which was awesome. Like going a little creepy and weird, because we didn't intend it to be that way, where we're like, wow, we're on vacation and we're standing in a graveyard. That's really weird. But at the same time, like seeing kind of how these writers got to where they were and how they wrote about things based on where they grew up and all that stuff. It was definitely there's a lot of stuff I could pull from that. A lot of inspiration.
Sometimes
cool.
dead is better.
I don't know if that's as good as your Shaggy, but it's pretty good.
No, I can't do Fred Gwynn.
We should have Wes do that one. Wes is very good at that impression.
Awesome.
It's a little creepy.
I was not like. I feel like you mentioned Wes. I feel like we got about half of Wes.
Oh, there's so much.
There's 200% of Wes always. So
No, I think you mean like you got about half of what we could have gotten out of Wes.
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah, like
yes.
yeah. Mhm.
I walked out of that show going, did we get what we were aiming to get out of him? I'm not quite sure. Like, because we were talking about him being a wrestler and a stunt guy.
Right.
And I'm like, did he have a career in radio at some point? And, you know, like, because he sounded like a guy who was just in front of a microphone all the time.
Yeah.
Like,
I think that for any of the guests, Wes was definitely one of them. I think for all of them, again, I'm very much of the mindset that the podcast is going to be whatever it needs to be at that moment. And for some of the people, it's going to be more. Some it might be less. Some it might be funny. Some it might be sad. And so I do think for every guest, it was, we got exactly what we needed, but there's definitely more we can get because there's so much to each of us that you can dive into. There's always more under the surface. Like onions, we have layers.
Oh, you mean like cake?
Like cake.
Everybody
No,
loves cake.
no, onions. Oh man.
Well, and more than us.
Smith Island cake.
Yeah. Everybody, what's your favorite Shrek movie?
The first one?
Yeah, it's the first one or nothing. The rest of them are terrible.
I'm waiting for, what's it, Shrek 5? Is it 4 or 5? What's there? There's talk that there's gonna be another Shrek movie.
I think it's gonna be a reboot. Like it's gonna be
They've
like
already done so many though.
Like a Puss in Boots.
Yeah, they're essentially gonna bring back Mike Myers and
Eddie Murphy,
and then just sort of recognize the rest of it is just kind of bad.
They should just replace Mike Myers with Benedict Cumberbatch because they like replacing green people with Benedict Cumberbatch recently, and it doesn't go well. The Grinch. He was the Grinch. Benedict Cumberbatch is
I was
the
like,
Grinch.
what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, he's the new Grinch, and apparently it's not very good.
Oh yeah.
Well, like I mean, it comes down to, does Shrek need a Scottish accent?
Why did we need another Grinch?
Yeah,
Or Shrek,
like
yeah.
well, it was the one in 2000 was
Wait,
bad enough.
hold on, wait a second. The Shrek and the Grinch are the same thing.
No,
One's just in Christmas. The Grinch is just at Christmas time. It's the same movie. You got a angry green creature that the town hates
With a sidekick.
with a sidekick.
A four-legged sidekick.
A four-legged sidekick.
but Max doesn't say squat.
I don't care. That's the
But
same
he implies.
movie. No, it's the same movie.
Just like Donkey's trying to bring all happiness to Shrek, like Max is always trying to like get the Grinch to like do happier things.
I get it. But at a certain point, it like diverges.
Where?
Like,
Name one way it diverges.
The Grinch doesn't fall in love
Yes, he does.
with the town. Are you going to say that?
No, with the well, if you're going
No.
to
You
the
can't
newer
go off that
Grinch,
Jim Carrey.
Hold on, the
Okay.
Jim Carrey one was amazing. Second of all,
because that's what I was going off of the Jim Carrey one. Because he does
falls
fall
in love in the sense that his heart grows.
That's true.
3 sizes that day.
I was saying from the Jim Carrey one, but that works
But
too.
both are true.
Let us all agree that the Jim Carrey one is a piece of crap.
I
know,
won't.
man.
No, I won't agree with that. I will say, here's the thing. I was actually just listening to a podcast about this yesterday, but
Are we talking about a podcast on a podcast?
yeah, we are.
We're going there.
Yeah. So
And they were talking about a podcast.
no, so they were talking about the two Grinches, and I think it is perfectly acceptable to say I only like the original Grinch. That is fair. And I think it would be fine to say that the original Grinch is better. I wouldn't argue that at all. But
That's classic.
there is something very good about the like Jim Carrey Grinch is very good.
Oh, no.
Yes, it is. Like 100%. It is amazing.
There is zero reason to make the Who's a bunch of dicks. But they made 98% of the town of Whoville a bunch of dicks.
So here's the thing. I'm going to compare it to Where the Wild Things Are. So in Where the Wild Things Are, you have a 2-hour movie based off of a 13-page book.
Yeah, you know what you do? You make that an hour and 20 minutes, and then you get out of Dodge.
Okay.
You don't make it 2 hours.
Okay, fine.
You don't
What-
stretch.
Regardless, you're an hour and 20 minutes from a 13-page book is still stretching. Like, you're still gonna stretch it. And so you have to add extra elements of story there. And yeah, maybe in the book the Who's weren't dicks, but that doesn't mean that they were like nice to the Grinch. They were never like, oh, the Grinch is really great.
They were completely tuning out the evil. They were always...
So they were just ignoring him. Like, just because the Jim Carrey version just gave us more backstory on the Grinch.
Oh, yeah. By the way, I didn't need flashbacks to when the Grinch was in 4th grade.
Dude, Baby Grinch is adorable.
No, Baby Grinch...
I love Baby Grinch. You're a monster.
You know what? I'm going to pull
This
up
is the end of
Baby
our
Grinch.
podcast. Podcast over. This is canceled. I quit.
Baby Grinch will haunt you in your dreams.
Well, thanks
you,
everybody.
yeah,
This
thank
has
you.
been
This
Making
has
the
been
Bed.
Adam.
We
Making the Bed.
will see you next time on season 2.
Jim Carrey Grinch is terrible. Bye.
There's not going to be a season 2, actually. The hosts have decided to split up.
Not amicably.
You know what? I'm still doing this podcast.
It's Ben. Okay, fine. We'll end it, but the Grinch and Shrek are the same exact movie, and the Jim Carrey Grinch is A-okay. You cannot like it, that's totally fine, but say it's trash is just disingenuous and not true.
I like he's
Bye.
like, we can end it. Here's my points. I'm correct. Bye.
Those are the welcome to every argument Frankie and I have ever had.
Like, watching Frankie during this conversation, it was abundantly clear she agreed with every point.
I'm surprised she didn't. I'm surprised she didn't break her neck from rolling her eyes so hard.
So, all right. Well, steering back to the podcast, since I had my whole long story about going to Maine and all that fun stuff, what about you guys? You have something you want to share that happened to you? I know Chris definitely should go last because he's got a story.
Oh, no. Chris should go first.
All right, fine. I'm gonna just go to get it over with.
right.
Okay, so as we've mentioned a couple times on the podcast, and as most of you that probably listen to this podcast, because most of the people that listen to this podcast probably are our friends
in this room.
Yeah, all four of us.
That's it. No.
As most of you know, I broke my leg 2 months ago. It is now December. I broke it in October. So Matt and Aaron wanted to hear the story of how I broke my leg. Frankie was there. Frankie is taking her headphones off because she's heard it.
I want to say it was
so many
the
times.
13th.
She's so tired. It was exactly
Was it
the
the 13th?
13th. It was the 13th of October. So Aaron and I went to a beer festival, or not a beer festival. It was a
It was a church beer.
it was a church. What was it?
Oktoberfest.
Oktoberfest.
Oktoberfest, yeah.
That's the word.
I'm here.
What's that thing Germans do with beer in October? So we had an Oktoberfest at the church that Aaron and I live near, and we spent the day drinking beverages, and it was very wonderful. I had a great time drinking the beverages.
Which I actually didn't want to go, but you convinced me into it. And
Aaron was so angry about me forcing
It was
him
a
to
lot
go.
of fun.
It was a good time. And at that, Frankie and I were basically campaigning for people to join us because for a long time, I had been wanting to go to a trampoline park, Sky Zone in Timonium. Shout out to Sky Zone. This podcast is sponsored by Sky Zone in Timonium.
They should sponsor you.
I shouldn't be here because I'm going to chime in too much.
Yeah.
I want to go.
Well,
Frankie did not
should
want-
sponsor us so that
She did
he
not.
doesn't sue them.
At no point did Frankie tell me she didn't want to go until after I broke my leg.
You should have gone to my show.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you don't
So
go to my show.
I'm trying to be nice and like supportive.
So
Well, now there's metal to support.
yeah, really. So here's now I have metal supporting me. I had been wanting to go for a long time, and I had a couple days off.
Wait, did you say what it is? Did I miss
Sky
that?
Zone Trampoline Park?
Okay, I
Timonium,
just want to make sure people understood.
yeah, this episode is sponsored and brought to you by Sky Zone and Timonium. Jump higher. No. And so I had told Frankie, she was like, well, during your little like stint of days off, we should go do something. Like we should have a little day together and do something fun. And I was like, I would love that. Let's do something. And I was like, can we go to a trampoline park? Because I had been wanting to do it for a while and it just didn't, like, timing never worked out. And so as we're at the Oktoberfest, we're campaigning like, hey, do you guys want to come to the trampoline park? We're going tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun. and we got 3 other people to join us. Shout out to Paul, Natalie, and Vicente.
All who may be on the show one day.
All who may be on the show one day to talk about their experience. And
Sky Zone.
it was like every weekend, I guess, from like 9 until 11, they do black lights and DJs and all this stuff.
It's like rock and roll, but
yeah, it's rock and roll, but with trampolines. Exactly. And so we went from 9 to 11. And we get there at 9 and we're jumping around, having a good time. And at about 9:15, and 15 is being generous. Like, we might not have even been there 15 minutes. There's an area of Sky Zone where there is 2 trampolines and a foam pit. And the idea is that you jump off the trampoline into the foam pit. Frankie cannot hear this story. Frankie, why don't you, do you want to go run and could you go grab me a beer?
ooh, can you get me one,
please?
too?
Could you just grab beers?
Wow.
So our intern is going to get us some beers.
Thank you. Get
Because
some
we don't
beers.
do coffee. I'm kidding.
She's about to smash that can on your head.
Yeah, no.
She's going to shotgun
Thank you.
both of our beers.
Thank
Here's your beer.
I was gonna go pet the cat.
Yeah, I mean, you can do that too.
You can do that. Too.
So Frankie is gone, so now we can tell the story very vividly.
I like the way
door.
she grumbled the entire
The door,
way
Frankie,
out.
the door.
Oh, Matt, can you?
Matt, can you do the
Do you
door?
want to just?
Can I throw something at it?
Can you?
No, you just gotta
just crack it. Like
yeah, there you go.
It's all about the acoustics in the room.
Yep. Okay.
It's got to be the right way.
So we're
Sorry.
we're
Is that a
jumping on the
Spinal Tap
trampolines.
This one goes up to 11.
We're on the trampolines where the foam pit is, and I do a nice little front flip into the foam pit. Goes very well. Great form. Very proud of myself.
Got 9.5s.
Yeah,
10s,
exactly.
you know.
9.5.
You tucked well.
I tucked well, yeah. And then I realized it's kind of hard to get out of the foam pit. Like, as I'm trying to do that, after I do the front flip, I'm like, oh, wow, this is kind of difficult. I hope I don't get, like, stuck in here later.
Irony.
On the second jump, my friend Paul, I don't know if it was Paul or Vicente, they will probably blame each other for it, but one of them says, let's see how far out we can jump. Like, how far into the foam pit we can jump. And so I start jumping, and as I'm jumping, I'm, like, going further down the trampoline, like, towards the foam pit. And on the third jump, I come down right in front of the springs. Like, I'm still on the trampoline, still bouncing on the trampoline, but I'm in front of the springs. And as I come down, I just hear a baseball bat crack. Like
you actually audibly heard that.
Yeah, it was very audible.
Like a
and
home run
everybody
snap,
else heard
kinda.
it too, but didn't know what they heard.
Ooh.
Oh, God.
Oh, man.
And so I as I'm in the air, I'm like, oh, I broke my leg.
Just like that.
Yeah.
No panic,
I was
nothing.
like,
Just,
oh, my leg is broken as I'm in midair.
This
and
is
I
a change of status.
I fall face first into the foam pit.
Oh, no.
And as I'm face first in the foam pit, I say to myself, oh, I need to turn over so that I can tell people I've broken my leg. And as I turn over, I see my shin just flop to the left. Like that scene in Harry Potter where his arm is just like jello.
Yeah.
That was my leg. So I broke it like right in the middle of the bottom of my leg. So like the middle of the shin.
Wasn't there like a UFC or MMA fight with that?
Yes,
Dude,
there
like,
was.
kicks the leg and it just
honestly though,
flops
the
over.
most accurate, and I think I've showed this to both of you before. The most accurate is look up Sid Vicious leg break
Oh yeah,
because that is exactly what happened.
This is going to be the first podcast we've done where I vomit.
Yeah, exactly. So the Sid Vicious leg break. He
here's some pictures.
Jumps, yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
I can show you the X-rays. I do
Don't
have.
do it.
I do have the X-rays, both pre and post surgery.
We may have to post those
Yeah, we'll post the X-rays.
for those that can stomach it.
Hey, my doctor posted them on his Instagram. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh, bows for bros. Look at that.
All of you guys.
Are those all Chris's? Like,
No, they're all
I'm just
mine.
kidding. Thank you,
There's
Frankie.
a beer. Okay, so she's going back to pet the cat because we're still telling the story.
And continue.
So I'm in the foam pit, everybody is like, "Oh no, this is bad," and so they
They're
call
should we
people
let
over.
him drown?
Yeah, so I'm laying in the foam pit, which is basically like fun quicksand. Like it's just quicksand.
what is in this foam pit?
Just giant foam blocks, just like big, like square foam blocks,
like
And-
something you might see in like kindergarten or something.
Yeah,
like
exactly. It's at like a gym, like a gymnast.
Because at first you said that, I'm thinking like for those around Baltimore, like H2O foam parties, like it's just
gross.
a vat of foam, and then you just
it's
hit concrete.
Foam blocks.
Okay.
Like just little foam blocks.
I was like, that already sounds awful. Like, why would you jump into that?
And so they call the paramedics, and like 3 paramedics arrive, and then it quickly goes from 3 to 10 paramedics.
Oh god!
Because as they're like, there's one paramedic in the foam pit with me, and he's like trying to hold me still.
Well, what did Sky Zone do during all this?
Sky Zone, they came first, obviously, and they like, are you okay? We're gonna go call the ambulance or whatever, and that's about it. And I didn't see them.
Then they
Did they,
came with
like-
a booklet of coupons.
I
for
didn't see
Sky
them.
Zone.
Did they like shut
so
things
sorry,
down,
sir.
or there's
So
still
sorry.
kids just like
there's
bouncing
still
around
people
you?
so they turned off all the black lights, and the DJ kept playing, and they
case you
left.
decide to dance,
I think,
you
as far
know?
as I know, they left the rest of the park open. They just closed down the foam pit area, so you couldn't go into the foam pit.
Wow.
And then they put the spotlight on you so everybody
Yeah.
could look at you.
Well, the
and your
foam pit's
mangled
kind of
leg.
tucked away in the back, so you couldn't really see me.
Oh, good for their business. then.
Yeah, exactly.
Put a curtain over you.
Exactly.
Yeah, nothing to see here.
So
So the paramedics
are here, and there's 3 of them, and then they're all looking at me. There's again 1 in the foam pit with me, 2 on the trampoline, and Frankie informed me that as they're looking down at me, they're all kind of bouncing because they're standing on a trampoline. Like they're just looking
You
down
just
at me
naturally,
concerned,
like,
but they're just naturally like
subconsciously start
just up and
bouncing.
down. Yeah, they're just bouncing up and down a little bit. And so
quick group photo.
they the first thing they keep saying is they're like, do we need to get Tower 9? Like, let's call Tower 9. And I was like, who the fuck is Tower 9? Like, I don't know what that is. Apparently, Tower 9 is the people that you call when, like, Ellicott City floods and buildings collapse.
Yeah, they're like
So, like
this.
shock trauma.
and chubby 27-year-olds
No,
get
no,
stuck
they're-
in foam pits.
They're like the Swiftwater Rescue and stuff. Like they have
Yeah.
like special.
They have, like,
rescue
special
ropes
equipment,
and,
yeah.
like to get you like out of traps.
So there's, like, serious people.
yeah.
So
Like-
at no point did anybody like go full Herschel from The Walking Dead on you and just say like, it's got to go.
Yeah, no, they didn't. Yeah, nobody chopped my leg off. Now they
And no
did
one threw
say,
you over the shoulder and was just
no.
like, I'll just
While I was
carry you
in the
out.
foam pit, they did say, "Oh, we should give him some fentanyl." And my exact words were, "Is it because I'm acting like a little bitch?" And their exact words were, "Justifiably so." So yes, but it's reasonable to be like that. And so they shoot me up with drugs, and that helps immensely.
What drugs?
Fentanyl. It's like very, very low grade morphine.
You know the one that's like the most dangerous thing on the streets right now, according
Yeah.
to the CDC. As
It's
of
like-
this morning.
it's like
is it
baby heroin.
instantaneous?
yeah.
Yeah, it's like Dr. Heroin,
Wow.
which coincidentally, Dr. Heroin used to just be heroin.
This podcast brought to you by fentanyl. Wait, no,
Wait,
never mind.
Brought to you by Sky Zone.
Because sometimes I need that in like work meetings or something like that.
Jeez.
I'm like, oh dear God, how am I going to get out of this? And
What
then
gets
somebody
you out of
comes in,
bed? Matt's intervention.
Yeah. Making sure Matt doesn't start on fentanyl.
Just put me to sleep so I can conk out.
So, so Tower 9 arrives, and they're very serious. It looks like, honestly, if you're looking at the scene and you don't see my very clearly misshapen leg, it looks like a training exercise. Like you have a bunch of people on a phone on the trampolines, and then a bunch of people looking, and they're all looking down at a couple people in the foam pit. And so,
Or like a government job.
Yeah.
Like 2 people helping and like 10
bunch of
people
people just- yeah,
supervising.
exactly.
Yeah.
So they eventually get the orange board, And they slide the orange board under me. They like dig out all the foam blocks around me. They slide the orange board under me, and then they have like a basket, like canoe type thing.
I'm guessing they had to like strap you onto the board.
They strapped me onto the board, which
yeah.
I didn't feel strapped on. Like they said that I was strapped on, but like the second I moved, I thought I was gonna slide off of it. It was very scary.
Did the lower portion of your leg also get its own board?
No, they just kind of. They
didn't like splint it or anything.
Oh, I think they did. Yeah, they did some kind of splint.
Yeah,
I imagine.
Just to sort of hold it in place.
Yeah, I can't really remember honestly.
Like when
that's when the fentanyl kicked in.
Yeah, exactly.
Not to get like Catholic, but like when you went to like communion as a kid, and they used to have the altar servers like right underneath with the little trays.
Oh, holding the tray so that you don't drop the communion.
Like
they
was there like a little tray to catch like your leg?
Catch my leg.
Fell off.
Yeah, no. So we They put me on the board, and then they slide me onto this canoe. Basically, they slide me across onto this canoe thing, and then the canoe they slide across the foam pit and are able to lift me up onto the trampoline and then onto the stretcher and get me out of there.
Did they have to use ropes or anything? Or was this all
just hand? Yeah,
like
by hand. Just all the
lifting?
people. And so as they're stretchering me out, Frankie's parents had arrived by then because they lived like 15 minutes down the road. And they're stretchering me out, and I'm like, there's like people jumping on one side, and then there's like people looking very concerned on one side, and there's a dad giving me a death stare, probably because his son learned a lot of new curse words that night. Because I was going through, like, while I was in the foam pit, I felt like I was going through the dictionary, just like what
of obscenities.
What foul words have I not said yet to express my pain?
Were Frankie's parents introducing Frankie to like prospective new guys in case you died on the way to the hospital?
I mean,
a broken leg.
That wouldn't have been a bad. I'm not a horse.
Like, I'm making.
They don't just shoot me and put me out of my misery.
He's never gonna race again.
I'm just like imagining them being like. Now that she's in the room again, like the most stereotypical Italian family of all time. They're like, you need a man who's going to be around and not have a broken leg.
Not someone who breaks his leg on a trampoline.
No, but they weren't saying that. But Frankie was saying those things.
We need Frankie's grandmother on the podcast.
I know. That's the episode where we're also going to do blind taste test too.
What is she going to like make meatballs or something?
Yes.
Like put them in our hands as payment?
I would love that. So
they get you out of the foam pit.
They get me out of the foam pit. The guy, like a dad giving me the death stare.
Right.
And then they get me into the ambulance, and I'm just like saying all sorts of things. I don't know what I'm saying. I do know I talked about our future wedding cake.
I appreciate you saying ambulance, by the way, and not like ambulance or like, you know.
I'm from Baltimore, but I'm not like from Baltimore. And so I talked to the person about cake in the ambulance. I talked about Sonic because there was a Sonic like 5 minutes away, and I was like, dude, if you just pull over to Sonic, I will pay for your chili.
You wanted to eat.
I will pay for
you got a broken leg.
I will pay for your chili cheese tots. So that was the thing is I was
some fentanyl munchies.
I was actually I was really hungry.
It's laced in the tots.
Yeah. Yeah, you know the fentanyl munchies all the druggies are talking about these days. And so they get me to the hospital. I'm there probably until we're in the emergency room probably until like 3 a.m. maybe. Because it took them forever to find me a bed. Basically, I didn't have any. There wasn't a bed that
you could get out of. Sorry, continue.
All right, that's the end of the show.
Yeah, really cheesy.
And play them off.
They didn't have one that they could check me out into. It's been one wait no, almost to the point of copyright infringement. And so, it took them forever. So we're just sitting in the emergency room. Like I'm laying there. My parents are there. Frankie and her parents are there. And we're just like sitting there waiting. We don't know, we're just waiting for a room. And the TV is on. Now, at this point, I know I'm going to get surgery tomorrow. They've told me they're going to put a rod in my leg. Like that's going to happen. And I look and on the TV, they've got it's 2 a.m. and there's just some random young adult or young teen kid show on Disney Channel, and I look at the TV right as it says the foam pit of terror. And then it shows a bunch of kids jump into a foam pit and they fall.
Frankie just nodded her head behind you like this is legitimately true.
They fall
like this did
through
happen.
the foam pit into like a foam pit themed hell with foam pit monsters. And I start screaming, and everybody else around me is like, what is going on? And I point to the TV, and they go, oh, no. And everybody in our room is like, what is happening? This is so weird. And a nurse comes in, and she's yelling at us because she's like, guys, you need to keep it down. It's 2 a.m. People are trying to sleep. And I just point to the TV, and she turns around, and she went, oh, that's just cruel. Like... It was the worst timing ever. First of all, why is that a show on Disney Channel? Get that off Disney Channel. You're scaring kids.
At 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Why are they showing anything at 2 o'clock?
Yeah, like what kids? Are
I thought
still
they
up
just
at
did
2
that
in the
like
morning?
cable, the emergency broadcasting noise after
just
a
play
certain.
the national
Right?
anthem for the next 4 hours.
Until they
Exactly.
fall asleep.
Yeah, so that is the
Wow.
story of me breaking my leg. I have a rod in my leg now with 4 screws, 2 in my ankle, 2 in my knee. And I'm still trying to get used to it. It's still very rough.
Now you have a wedding coming up, so most importantly, will you be able to do your signature dance move in time for the wedding?
So here we go. As
I just opened up a whole nother
again,
can
most
of worms.
most people know, and I can feel Frankie rolling her eyes behind me.
Oh, she
like
is.
I can't even see her, and I can feel it.
She's giving you the Italian hands.
So oh man, so every wedding that I've gone to, not every wedding, but almost every wedding I've gone to, I do a particular dance move that I've done my entire life, and that is the worm.
The W-O-R-M.
Worm. Yeah, which is from it's from other things, but I learned it from wrestling.
Many talented African-American dancers owned it way before two very untalented
White dancers.
white dancers at
Yeah.
WWF in the late 90s.
we don't
Shout
have a
out-
lot of moves as white guys. Like it's one of the
this-
few we can kind of do.
This
you know?
podcast is brought to you by Scotty Too Hottie. And so I do the worm at most weddings. Usually there's a particular time that I do the worm, and it is during the bridge
Yep.
of Uptown Funk. Actually, sorry, not during the bridge. It is during the final chorus of
Yeah.
Uptown Funk.
Yeah.
Because the bridge, you're building up to the
Yeah.
final chorus. So it's during the final chorus of Uptown Funk, which should never be played in the first like hour and a half of wedding dancing.
and should always be cut halfway.
No. Uptown Funk is the only one that's allowed to be played all the way through. Most wedding songs are played far too long. Like, we do not need to hear, like, the entirety of Disturbia by Rihanna. Like, we just need to hear, like, verse, chorus, cut. Like, move to the next song.
There's a wedding we went to where they cut it off as Chris was about to do the worm. Like, he backs up, starts to like loosen the tie, and is right
Oh
about to
my.
go, and then they cut to another song, and he was devastated.
Yeah.
Like, you heard the record scratch right then and there in your
Yeah.
head.
And he just
The
like
record
looked
scratched
so
in my heart,
broken.
yeah.
Like, that was a defeated man.
I actually banned a Rihanna song from our reception.
Which one?
Pon de Replay.
Oh, yeah, put that on the list, babe. I don't want to hear that shit.
Good. Good.
I don't even know what that is.
I knew I wanted you to be
I'm
my
Mr.
co-host.
DJ upon the replay. I'm Mr. DJ. Won't you turn
like
the
her-
music up?
Oh, yeah, I do know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like...
Frankie
Casey
was like, that was going to be our first dance.
Casey's like, it's such a fun song. And I'm like, I hate that song.
I think at this point, Frankie and I have we've only agreed on one song that definitely cannot be played, which is "Don't Stop Believin'."
Oh, you're gonna be one of those.
One of those that doesn't play a terrible song in our.
Like, every wedding plays that song.
No, I'm saying it's on the not playlist.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like, why, if every wedding plays it anyway?
Because
like,
they
why do you not wanna
shouldn't play
conform
it.
to that?
Because you can't dance to that song, and it's not even that good of a song.
That's kind of why they play it like towards the end, where people aren't really dancing; they're just kind of drunk and swaying around.
Yeah, we can just play some Irish tunes if we want to do that.
Well, you guys will probably be gone before the end anyway, so I'll tell them to play it.
They're not going to play it. We will ensure that they will not.
Are
be
you
played.
going to leave before the reception ends? We didn't.
No, probably not.
We stayed until the absolute end.
Don't tell him that. How are we gonna get
Aaron's
Don't
like,
Stop
I'm gonna
Believing?
be. Aaron's like, I'm gonna be at my reception for half an hour and get the hell out.
Yeah, these people get 30 minutes of my time.
Getting the hell out of Dodge. We're gonna dance together to Drunken Lullabies by Flogging Molly, and then we're leaving.
First of all, who said there's even dancing at this wedding? That's all right. That dancing is on the no playlist. Okay.
I mean, I've seen you dance. That's fair. We don't need it.
exactly. So have I. It's not good. It's not pretty.
So anyway, the doctor tells me I should be good to do the worm for my wedding.
Which is good.
Yeah,
Which
so
is good.
We'll see. Because right now, if I putting pressure on my knee does hurt a little bit. So I don't know. We'll see how we feel come May. But Frankie has done a great job of preparing me for the worst case scenario. Making sure that
She's going to do the worm for you.
Exactly. Yeah, I've been teaching her. I've been teaching her the movements. It would look great in the wedding dress. I'm sure it won't like ruin it in any way.
I thought you could put like hide springs in there because there's a lot of fabric at the bottom of the dress, right?
Yeah,
In a wedding dress.
She's gonna
So it kinda
actually.
bounces,
It's gonna be
kinda get that,
the
like-
wedding dress is actually it's a tearaway wedding dress, and somehow it's gonna have a full white pantsuit underneath of it. Even though while she was wearing the wedding dress, there weren't any sleeves, but when she tears the dress off, there's just full sleeves and like bell bottom pants, and she's going to worm the hell out of that wedding.
I didn't tell you what song played when I took my wife's garter off.
I don't like.
Oh well.
I don't like that. I don't like that
Gonna
part
get
of
a
the
little,
wedding.
Gonna get a little
Hulk Hogan's
R-rated.
Real American.
Really?
Oh, that's actually.
That is great. Can
That's
we get a
awesome.
clip of Hulk Hogan's Real American?
I'll see if I can pull it up.
Yeah,
for
that's
you.
There
not
are
gonna.
actual photos of me cupping my hand to my ear to get the rest of the crowd into it.
I think I might be okay with a garter toss now.
Yeah,
I
right?
mean, that could be.
Yeah.
That could be
Here
the
we
thing
go.
that does it. Let's see.
Let's
See,
see.
it takes a little bit to build in that song.
No, it doesn't. It hits you right away. I am a real American. Fight for the rights of every man. I am a real American. Fight for what's right. Fight for your life. At
you
what
could see
point
this
do you take the garter off?
If you could see this YouTube clip, it's so much Hulk Hogan.
It's so
just
good.
him just like roiding out and smashing.
Oh, I've
everyone.
seen it multiple times.
It's just.
It's my screensaver on my computer. Burn out. Okay, there we go. Perfect. So, okay, let's talk about the garter toss for a moment.
Okay.
This is getting real interesting.
Do you think the garter toss, like, why is that a thing?
I don't know why it's a thing. It was weird.
Yes.
I'm weird being in a room with my wife saying, all right, I'm going to take your garter off now. Like, and then doing it in front of 200 people?
I'm weird being in a room and kissing Frankie in front of other people.
Oh, yeah.
And thank God for that.
Like the thought of people like clinking their forks against a glass to watch Frankie and I smooch is weird
Yeah.
enough.
Dude, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, here's my
That's
recommendation.
a weird
I
thing.
think it's cute.
Go to other people's tables at your wedding, at the reception, and tap your glass to make them kiss.
Make them get. That's what we'll do. That's a great idea. I'm just gonna go up to Aaron and Deanna and just like tap the glass. Oh wait, were we gonna invite
Deanna, I was
Were we
going to
in-
sit next to Matt. You kidding me? This is happening.
Wait,
Ding, 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 ding.
I realized.
Tap the Natty Bow beer can.
I
for
realized
us.
that Frankie and I actually haven't talked about whether or not the two of you are invited. I wasn't sure if that was.
Thank
gonna be a
God.
thing or
I
not.
really don't want to be.
Yeah,
there are
good,
so many other places I would rather be.
Okay,
I'm going to
but-
crash that wedding like
but-
there's no
but-
tomorrow.
We're smoking meats. We're not even going. We're bringing out
Outside of the wedding.
outside of the wedding. We're gonna tailgate
all
the
day
wedding.
long.
Yeah. Anyway, back to Matt having his hand up his wife's dress. Why is that a thing?
It was super creepy.
Yes. And,
And
then
then
you
on top
throw
of
it
that,
to somebody?
Yeah, and then on top of that, I added in a wrestler that had been retired for 15 years, his theme song.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, I'm going to vamp it up. You know, I'm going to make this worthwhile for myself because, hey, I'm never going to be introduced in front of 25,000 people.
But hey, you know what? You said he was retired, but if there's one thing I've learned from Chris this entire time, as much as I hate wrestling and he's still got
He
me to watch
loves
it,
wrestling.
Chris has taught me that you never really retire.
It's true.
In wrestling.
Ric Flair
Always
was just
come back.
cleared. He apparently was cleared by his doctor to take bumps
To
again.
walk?
No.
To live?
No, he was cleared to take bumps again. Like he can. The doctor says
fentanyl,
he
or-
can. No, he's past that. He's clean now.
I'm just trying to imagine why that man at like 70 would want to take a bump after like nearly dying a year ago.
My favorite thing that I've seen from it has been so recently the Avengers Endgame trailer came out, and so there's a clip at the end of the trailer where Ant-Man is like, they see Ant-Man on a security camera and he's like, hey, let me in. And
Is this old?
yeah, Captain America says, is this old footage? Like, is this like pre-recorded or whatever? And somebody made a meme of Ric Flair saying, I'm cleared to wrestle again. And Captain America says, is this old footage? Oh, man, so good. Anyway, Matt.
Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
since we both agree that the garbage toss is creepy, what is getting you out of bed these days?
What gets me out of bed seems pretty obvious, but it's my family. My life is pretty much like Full House.
Chocolates.
It's like Full House. And I think I'm pretty much Uncle Jesse, Uncle Joey, and the dad all rolled into one person. And I might be Comet too. But well, actually, we got 2 cats in the house.
Does that make Aaron and I marry Kate and Ashley Olsen?
Yes.
Good.
How rude.
I don't know how to feel about that.
Yeah, Aaron and I just switch places.
No.
don't-
You're both Gibbler.
We're both Kimmy Gibbler. Great.
That's fair.
That's
right.
that's fair assessment.
Um,
Frankie,
But I want to
pipe
be
down
Bob
back there.
Saget. He's my favorite.
So my life is essentially, from the moment I get up, is either a countdown to one of my children walking into the room or rolling over me in the bed. And then every single moment is trying to juggle life in and of itself.
Yeah.
Like,
how many kids are you having?
2.
2. Okay.
They're 5 and 6.
Okay.
And my son does not stop. He never stops until like his eyes close, and then we like sort of tiptoe out of the room, and it's like a horror story. Like, you know, like he might come back for one last kill.
For one last kill.
So for me, it's absolutely the balance of life. If you've seen, making an old video game reference, the game Tapper, where like the bartender goes from bar stool to bar stool, catching a beer before it hits the floor. That's essentially my life. It's like, all right, I've stopped this accident from happening. How about this accident? All right, I stopped this. And on top of that, my mom lives with us, and my mom is 70. So I've got 3
So her and Ric Flair have been cleared to wrestle. Sorry.
You wouldn't believe the bump she's taken.
WrestleMania 35.
So, for me, it's just this incredible balancing act of, and I think back to my life, what it was like 8 years ago. I've been married for 7 this month. 7, I got married December 2011.
Oh, wow. So your anniversary is like either here or just coming up or just
December
past?
30th.
Oh, awesome. Well, congratulations.
Yeah, I
That's
made it to
awesome.
7.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like she made it through the 7-year itch, right? Maybe.
Well,
see
yeah,
how
there's
the
still
next year
time.
goes.
We don't know.
There's still time for her to get tired of you.
She's looking for the parachute.
What's the anniversary? Do you follow that? The whole, like, every year you
like
give
twigs
them, like,
or something.
Fitz
it's
was
paper this
wood.
year. And like, what's the one? Do you know what this year is?
6? No, I don't. Yeah, I'm bad.
So wait, we're on 6 or 7?
You remember the anniversary
What is the-
date. That's the important
Yeah,
part.
what's the 7th anniversary? It's not like metal or anything like that, right?
It's actually give gifts to your podcast
It
friends.
looks it looks like
Weirdly enough.
it looks like diamonds.
Yeah,
I
for
brought
us.
I brought ribs last week, so
Damn it, you
we're-
did. And they were good, too.
we're covered.
It's in the US it's copper, but in the UK it's wool.
So I will get my wife a penny.
And then take her to London and get her a sweater. Or a jumper,
She's Irish.
as they would say.
I'll get her one of those like stuffy Irish sweaters.
Oh, those things are so warm, though. They're amazing.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
They're
The-
gigantic.
The ones that are basically just steel wool.
Yeah. Like every week that I come here and do this podcast, it's like mostly like I've tiptoed out of the house and that like made sure that I didn't wake the children because I put them to bed and then I tiptoe out of the house to make sure I don't make a noise before I exit, so that I don't like leave like whoever's watching them in a lurch.
Which is impressive, by the way, that you can like dedicate time to this with 2 kids and be able to like put them to bed, come here, do the podcast, and then get back home. Like that's awesome. Like that's a lot.
And usually when I get home, I'm a little buzzed. Like,
okay, well, we were going the responsible dad. Now we're just bringing it back.
well,
Weird flex, but okay.
I meant like I had this weird energy. Like I'm like, all right, let's create, let's do more stuff.
Yeah.
No, I get that.
And then like that lasts about 15 minutes, and then I pass out on the floor.
See, that happens for Aaron and I too, but we don't have an excuse.
Yeah, true.
We don't have 2 kids and a wife.
We're just terrible people.
We're just lazy.
Yeah, but having kids is a lot like that scene in Jurassic Park where
I can't wait to hear where this is going.
where Lex and Dr. Grant are watching the T-Rex kind of stomp around, and he like puts his hand over her mouth and says, "Don't make a sound."
I could see so many Jurassic Park scenes that would be like, oh, this is like having kids. The scene where he's in the porta potty.
When you gotta go.
He's on the toilet, and then the T-Rex just comes and eats him.
Yeah.
When you gotta go, you gotta go.
That's pretty accurate.
My son has one moment a day, like Tim, where he shocks himself on the gate.
Yeah.
And and he comes up and he's like, "Daddy, I fell down." And I'm like, "Yep, buddy. Yep, I told you." I'll say like, "There's good decisions and there's bad decisions. Which one was that, buddy?" And he goes, "It's a bad decision."
Yeah. I don't mean to be like mean here, but based off of that impression, your kid sounds like a real dope.
Oh. No, he's a really, really, really smart kid, which makes it
I was just going off of your vocal impression because that voice made him sound really dopey.
Daddy,
Daddy,
I love you. Daddy, here's something he does. He goes, "Daddy, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." And he's like, "Let me just say one more time, I'm sorry."
This kid needs to go into politics.
Also, what most of my conversations with Frankie sound like.
I've tried to.
So sorry.
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Let me, Frankie, one more time. I'm sorry.
sorry.
For the record, sorry. That's our Topher impersonation.
And the beer cracking was a part of the apology.
Yeah.
I want Liam on this podcast.
I would love that. I want your whole
There you
family
go.
on this podcast. Yes, please.
Because I know what gets him out of bed.
How many F-bombs are we going to need to give them?
Oh, my God.
Liam gets 12.
William gets 12.
That kid says fun all day long.
F is for friends who do stuff
Maybe
together.
can we ask him what he's watching on the Disney Channel at 2 a.m. if it's
he
terrible
is-
foam
he is
pits?
definitely-
There's this amazing foam pit monster.
Like, at 3 o'clock in the morning, he'll come into our bed and he's like, "Daddy, can I watch Muppet Babies?" I'm like, "No, buddy. No, now's not the time. We're sleeping. But I want to watch the Kermit episode where he lets Fuzzy doubt the relationship."
Frankie, again, I think that's going to be our marriage. Frankie, can we watch Muppet Babies? No, we're sleeping
Dude,
now.
just substitute Muppet with some kind of Avengers movie.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
basically you guys.
Frankie,
Or a wrestling show.
Frankie,
or wrestling,
Frankie, can we
yeah.
watch the new preview of the PWG show that just happened last week? They Pentagon Jr. was on it, and he did a double moonsault, and I just want you to see it. It's really cool.
Can we watch 205?
Can we watch? It's 205 live. It's 205 live.
Well, oh my
live
gosh.
if it's taped.
It happens live. It is live.
But you can watch it on repeat, right?
Yeah, but the show it initially happens live. 205 Live is actually really good. It gets a really bad rep, but they have the best. They have like some of the best wrestlers on WWE on that show. It's really good. Anyway,
So, all right. So, next question, just to
Yeah.
keep us moving and doing
Exactly.
some fun stuff here.
Yeah.
Trying to remember all the guests that we did have in the first one, 10 people. Is there anything? Let's do 2 of them. Let's do one that stuck out to you as maybe like the coolest or most dramatic or most touching moment to you, and then maybe one that's like maybe one of the funniest moments to you. How about that? You have to probably think about it a bit. Yeah, like out of all the guests.
Funniest moment definitely was Topher showing me wrestling clips last week.
Oh yeah. So last week we showed Matt. For Frankie's knowledge, we showed Matt a clip of Vince McMahon tearing both of his quads as he tried to get into the ring. I've showed you that clip, right?
And just sitting there.
And just sitting in the ring screaming at people, trying to act like he didn't just tear both of his quads.
I'm not even a wrestling fan, but that was hilarious.
It's one of the
just watching
funniest.
that it was pretty funny.
I was in a work. Bringing up work meetings.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a work meeting the other day, and I randomly thought about it, and I started laughing uncontrollably, like I was here at the show.
And which bishop got upset with you?
Oh my god, the president of the conference was so furious. I'm kidding. Most touching was definitely Jimmy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Jimmy's.
He had a hell of a. I remember looking over at you, and you were just losing it.
Right.
Like, and that got so.
Frankie, you were here for that one, weren't you?
She
Jimmy?
was.
Yeah, she was here for Jimmy. Like, I think all of it, like, Frankie was the only one that was, like, man enough to be like, I'm okay with crying during this right now. And the rest of us were like, oh, gosh.
Which is very...
Together.
It's very interesting going back to, Chris, something that you said earlier, too, where it's like, we try to see if we can get out of them kind of what we want to get out of it. But on the flip side of that, it's also what they're comfortable sharing and what they want to get out of it. And in that case... There are people that I've brought in that I know on the show that I'm expecting them like, man, they may get into this like deep story and all that. I mean, we had Chrissy on, who's an EMT.
Yeah.
And she told some stories and like totally stone faced. And I know there's a couple things she's probably seen that really like unnerved her, but she didn't really say those. Mm-hmm. And then you have Jimmy come in and do that story. And you're like, whoa, like I did not know he was going to go that deep.
That's the thing I really like about Jimmy is that he is the definition of an open book, but you've got to read it.
Right.
Like like some people are like an open audiobook, like they'll just play and like just say all the words to you right away. But he will tell you literally anything you want to hear. Any question that you have for him, he will answer it, and he's comfortable talking about anything. Because I think he's very confident in who he is, and he understands his past, and he understands that his past has made him who he is today, and he's in a great place right now. Yeah. So I think he is very much an open book. You just have to ask him, because if you see him on the street, he's a very quiet guy. Like, he doesn't chat much. He's not very talkative.
Yeah, like we brought his wife in to talk. Megan, is it? No,
that's Catherine.
Sorry, Catherine. Yeah. And she like kept saying like, do you want the mic? Do you want to chime in? He's like, nope, this is your story. Like, it's all you. Like, he just let her do her thing,
And she was an entirely different person than him.
She is an open audiobook. She is the open audiobook. She will just play and she will talk your ear off and say all that. Like, we got the same amount of like crazy wisdom and like beauty and depth.
Yeah, they both opened up in two very different ways.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What was weird to me was that I was totally expecting her to have some of his former baggage like on her, but like she didn't really know him during that period,
right?
And he has grown so much as a human being that like all she knows is the man that she married, which is entirely
the man that he is, not the man that he was.
Right. And I'm like, which makes me think back on that conversation with Jimmy even more. I'm like, oh, this guy like had genuine human growth in a substantial way, and I'm like, why can't I do that in my life? Not that I'm like going through the same things or have the same vices, but like at the same time, it's like, in what way can I fit that in my life? Like, because he got his act together, like, what growth can I have?
And that's the best part of the show, when you hear it from other. I mean, and I don't want to steal Chris's thunder for the intro that we're going to record later, but you sort of touch on that without getting too much into giving it away.
Yeah,
that it's like hearing other people's stories is very motivating to yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. Cool. And I guess for me, an episode that I think really just a highlight for me, I think I really loved Justin's episode a lot. because it was more casual, it was more fun. He had plenty of,
and that was only our second episode.
That was only our second episode. He had plenty of like deep moments. He talked about his kids. He talked about his wife. He talked about like some of the inspiration behind his music. But excuse me. For the most part, I think it was just a fun chat.
It was well rounded.
It was very well. It was very well rounded.
Highs, lows.
I thought it was one of the most casual and free flowing of the conversations we've had.
Yeah.
Because he also asked us kind of questions and stuff like that. Because one thing that I know, we use this word to describe it, but I hate this word, is interview. I don't want it to be an interview. It
kind of is at the end of the day, but we don't have to turn it that way.
I would like it. I want to get away from interview as much as possible. That's why we have other people sit in, like Frankie sitting here last a couple weeks ago when we had Catherine on. Jimmy and her brother Philip were sitting here.
Right. He was awesome. We gotta get him
we're
on.
gonna get Philip on. Definitely.
He's ridiculous.
But
he's like the world's most interesting man. He's hung in the back.
He's so great. Yeah. So I want it to be as much of, like you, like Matt, you said, a hangout. Like I really want it to feel like we are sitting at a party just chatting, because again, like I'm thinking about when you go to a party, like when we talk to our friends normally, like if I go into Aaron's room and then to talk to him, we say, "Hey, how was your day? What's going on? Oh, are you going to hang out with Deanna later? Like, how's work?" We don't really we know each other very well, and we know about each other's lives, and we know what the other person is passionate about. So we don't really dive into it.
Right.
Now some people do. Like Frankie behind me, she will get into these very deep, long conversations with all of her friends, and in like 4-hour like phone calls and things like that. But not everybody's like that. I think for the most part, a lot of times with friends, you can very easily get into a rhythm of, is there a helicopter?
There's a helicopter over us. Yeah. It's like, what is that?
With friends, you can very easily get into this rhythm of just going through the motions and, hey, how are you doing? How's your day? Let's hang out, kind of thing. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But I think sometimes it's very easy to forget to have those deep and meaningful conversations. But when you go to a party, and maybe this is just me and the parties that I've gone to, after doing a lot of fentanyl, after having a couple beers, maybe you talk to somebody who is a friend of a friend of a friend who you've never met before, and you don't know what they're passionate about. You don't know their life story. And so that's what you start talking about. Like you start talking about these very deep and emotional things with people where you all of a sudden have spent like 3 hours talking to one person about their life story and what they're passionate about and what motivates them, what their family life is like, and all these different things. And I wanted to have that chance with my friends to get back into that, to talk about those things again, because while I know them, maybe there are things that they haven't gotten to talk about in a long time. There are things that, hey, like, I'm really happy with, bless you. I'm really happy with the relationship I have with my parents, and I really haven't gotten to talk about that. And I think we've had some growth, or I was in a rough place, but now I'm in a really great place. And I think that like that story is worth telling, or, there is a thing that I do every single day that I think brings value to the world, and I want to share that. And so I think that, just by sitting down and allowing ourselves to be that soundboard for our friends, for our family, for random strangers, is the most important part. Like I know, Aaron, I think, has been an amazing addition to this podcast because he's got great equipment that we can use.
Not because of me, just
not because of him. But he has a lot of insight on the audio and the technical side of things. But you've done a very good job, Aaron, of being like, hey, like, let's think about this. Like, this could be a good thing to do to get more listeners, or this could, like, we could do this to, like, spread the word, or things like that.
Or simply texting us messages during the show.
Yeah, he helps send us messages to help make the conversation flow a little bit better of questions we can ask. but you've done a great job of helping out with that, and I do appreciate those things and I want those things. But for me, as much as I would love people to listen to this podcast and share this podcast with their friends and family, first and foremost, more than anything, I just want us to be able to sit down with our friends and let them just go. And and I think that in and of itself is worth listening to, and I think it will be. And obviously we definitely need to do some of those things that you've mentioned that I think would be good to help us get more listeners. But for me, first and foremost, it's about the conversation. And if I'm going to have those conversations, we might as well record them, because I think they're going to be valuable, because we have really cool and interesting and weird friends.
Well, and there's a weird dichotomy with that, interesting enough too, that while we are presenting that conversation, like you said, it's one thing to be talking to your friends and kind of already something you've always talked about. But when you do suddenly put them in a room like this and you put a microphone in front of them and you say, this is kind of an interview, but it's not, I think that almost puts them in a different brain set, that when they're talking about that, it's almost therapeutic, because it doesn't feel like I'm just sharing it to somebody else. It's almost like I'm giving this to the world now. Like I'm putting this out there knowing that it's going to be out there, and I'm comfortable enough to really have that in the open, in the world, and that's okay. Like it's one thing to tell it to a friend that you've always trusted. It's another thing to do it on a recording.
Yeah.
And to people that you don't know, who are also in the room and who might listen to that story later on. So it's almost like a final, I'm comfortable with this, or I'm this passionate about it that I'm taking it to another level. But at the same time, by presenting it with that conversational, relaxed feel like that, I think it sort of eases people into being able to do that. It's almost the best of both worlds, if that makes sense.
Like, I know this just flies directly in the face of what we were just hearing. But for me, my natural work muscle, for 12 years was being a journalist and being an interviewer. So like the idea that I'm hanging is like, when I used to interview people, I liked to disarm them and make it feel like we weren't, I wasn't sitting across from them and like peppering them with questions, but sort of letting everything just sort of come out,
right,
where their comfort level was, and then breaking it down and letting things just come naturally. So for me, like, this is exactly what comes naturally to me. And when Topher brought up the idea, I was like, yep, I need this in my life, because I miss it. I don't do it like I used to do it. Like it's not my career anymore. So I miss the idea of finding out about humans and sharing the human story, and then trying to figure out how to share that. And naturally, like, people will share that if they're comfortable.
Yeah.
And I think both you guys have a talent for that, naturally, because you were talking about when I send you guys questions and all, I don't think there's ever been a time that you have read a question that I've sent you word for word off of the phone. You've always found a way to sort of turn it into a more personal way, or like kind of reword it to your question that it sounds a little smoother. And then the way you kind of work it into the right way to ask it and when to ask it. I think you guys are both really good at that. And and it definitely helps that I was doing some editing with Frankie's brother, actually, who came over to kind of show me some stuff as we're going through there. And he's like, this is how you're able to edit out the dead space. And I'm like, funny, we don't really have any dead space. Like, you guys are so good at fielding questions, and the guests that we've had have been so awesome at being able to answer them, that we just like boom, 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 and it just flows. There's never a dull moment in like any of these episodes. It just moves in a good way, though.
But just give me just some dead space right now.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Yeah. Let's have a moment. Yeah,
so, where are we at? How long have we been doing this for?
7 hours.
Total time right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually Saturday. We started on Wednesday.
Ah, shit.
We did it.
Oh, man, I need to shave.
No, I think we're just shy of about 2 hours.
Oh, gosh. Okay, all right. So I want to wrap it up with a game.
Okay.
So, this is something that I've done with with Aaron before. Actually, I learned about this the day I broke my leg, and Aaron and I played it a bunch.
Oh.
The day I broke my leg.
Speaking of that real quick, so Chrissy, who we had on the EMT, I'm
Yeah.
fairly certain when I told her the story about you breaking your leg,
Uh-huh.
she was like, oh, I was on call that night, and I think I was doing something else, but I heard that call
that's
come
funny.
on.
That's so funny.
And she also said,
my gosh.
I don't know why people keep going there, because we get calls all the time for that place.
Oh, man. Okay.
Once again, that's Fun Zone.
Yeah, our sponsor.
Sky Zone.
Yeah,
Sky Zone. Brought to you by
our
Sky Zone.
sponsor.
Thank you very much, sponsor.
What was
Hashtag ad.
What was the tagline you said earlier?
Jump higher.
Jump higher, fall harder.
Yep.
And then,
Oh, gosh.
oh, it's definitely time to wrap this up.
Yeah, really.
All right, so what's
Do you
this
want your
game?
leg to turn into foam? Come to Sky Zone.
Oh,
All right. So there is a game that I learned from another YouTube channel called The Valley Folk, where they're just some like comedians that do skits.
oh
and
no,
stuff
this
like
isn't what I think it is it?
It is what I think it is, or what you think it is.
Okay.
So this is called the movie game. They usually do it around different holidays. They've done one around Halloween, and now they're doing one around Christmas time because it is December. So what I am going to do, Aaron already knows what this game is. Matt, the rules of the game is I am going to give you a mashed up description of two movies. They are two separate movies that I'm mashing up as one description, and the titles bleed into each other.
Do you want to give them one of the examples?
For example, the first one, the original one they did was around Halloween, and so it was two British stoners fight off zombies before going to a class taught by Robin Williams.
Shaun of the Dead Poets Society.
There you
Exactly.
go.
You know
got
how
the
you know
game.
what you're doing.
You got
Okay.
the game.
All right. So this is the movie game. It is really fun. I'm gonna read off the ones that I can find. If you think of any and would like to test your hand at it, it's a lot of fun.
Oh jeez.
Okay. So, a doubting young boy takes an extraordinary train ride to the South Pole or to the North Pole, while a young, overweight, abused, illiterate teen who is pregnant with her second child is invited to enroll in an alternative school in hopes to change her life around.
Polar Express Precious?
I mean,
I know
can
Polar
you
Express
put it,
is
can
one
you,
of them.
Can you put them together a little bit better than that? Like let them bleed into each other a little bit more.
Polar Expressus?
Based on
Polar Expressions.
based on the novel Push by Sapphire. Yes. All right. Good job. You got it. Okay. Let me.
That's complicated. That's
Yep.
like the word is
That's
part
good.
of the other one in
Yeah.
that one.
Okay. Here we go. All right. A furry mountain-dwelling cynic and his dog leave the safety of their jury cave to join the British in a naval pursuit of a French privateer during the Napoleonic War.
So it's How the Grinch Stole Christmas for one of them.
Yes.
And then I'm trying to remember the British movie is Christmas something. Christmas.
It's not Christmas.
Oh, it's not?
It doesn't start with Christmas.
Is it
Okay.
the Russell Crowe movie?
I believe so.
Say the
So a furry mountain-dwelling cynic and his dog leave the safety of their jury cave to join the British in a naval pursuit of a French privateer during the Napoleonic War.
How the Grinch Stole Chris Master and Commander.
Yep, there you go.
Far Side of the World, whatever it is.
Yeah, that's the official long title. Yes. Okay. Let me see if I can. I'm basically just scrubbing through the video
And like searching for the ones that they did.
to find. Yep. Okay.
So feel free to try this at home, kids.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. You just have to think of two movies and blend their description together. Okay. This low-life booze-loving Kris Kringle teams up with his little friend to burgle department stores and save a 12-year-old prostitute from the streets.
So Bad Santa is one of them, right?
Yes, that's the first one. It's a Robert De Niro film.
Bad Santa Driver?
Well, what kind of driver was he?
Bad Santa Taxi Driver?
Bad
Bad Sand Taxi Driver.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you
Oh
go.
my gosh.
Very good. Very good.
They really blended these instead of
They
just
do-
doing the one word.
No,
They're
they
like-
do a very good job of blending
Yeah.
them. A much better job than we did when we were trying to make up our own.
Yeah, because I just connect them with like a word, not like it's part of it.
I mean, some of them are just a word, but all right. This holiday season, a small boy is left to defend himself from Tonto.
Oh. Home Alone Ranger.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I like that one.
See. Let me see if I can get another.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of these. An old man goes to court to prove he is in fact Santa Claus and immediately gets his ass kicked by Raul Julia.
Miracle on 34th Street Rider. A Street Fighter.
Yeah,
There you go. Yeah.
Very good.
That's okay. Yeah.
You guys are real quick with these.
We got this.
A young boy damn near shoots his eye out after integrating an all-black school with an all-white school, but hot damn, what a football team.
Christmas Story.
Remember the Titans.
Christmas Story, Remember the Titans. Yep.
Oh, that's a stretch. I don't know. That one's a little.
A Christmas Story, Remember the Titans.
Yeah,
you get it.
that's...
It's all how you say it. An angel named Clarence shows a family man what the world would be like if he disappeared and everyone stopped confusing him as the Messiah.
It's a Wonderful Life of Brian.
Yeah.
Hey,
Wow, Matt.
Nice. Well done. Nicely done.
You're really quick with these. Do either of you have any that you want to try out? You think you can?
No, just keep bringing them to me. I can do this all night.
Okay. So it looks like that is all of the Christmas ones.
Oh my gosh.
So I can go into some Halloween ones.
Oh my god.
That are very fun. While the video, I'm basically just scrubbing through the video, so I have to wait for it to load. Okay, here we go.
Damn buffering.
All right. The first Dracula and his sassy drag queen friends travel across the country in a madcap comedic adventure to make it to Los Angeles in time for a Miss Drag Queen America pageant.
So, Tu Wong Fu. Thanks for everything, Julie Newmar.
Yeah, that's the last one.
First Dracula?
First Dracula. Very gross looking Dracula.
Oh, Nosferatu. So
Say
put
it
them
together.
Nosferatu. Tu Wong Fu. Thanks for everything, Julie.
Nosferatu
Yep.
on Fu.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
I wouldn't have got that second one, so I'm glad you did.
No, I didn't know the second one. All right.
I know my drag queen movies.
Yeah. A black man must escape the ill intentions of some white well-to-dos so he can stop a smuggled primate from spreading a deadly virus that could lead to the end of humanity.
So Get Out is the first one, and the
Primate?
I thought it was Planet of the Apes, but that's not
Yeah,
right.
I don't actually remember this one. I might have to.
Read it one more time.
Okay, hold on. One sec. A black man must escape the ill intentions of some white well-to-dos so he can stop a smuggled primate from spreading a deadly virus that could lead to the end of humanity.
Is it
The
out of
the Dustin Hoffman movie?
Is it
Yeah.
out of Africa?
No. It's the Outbreak. So Get Outbreak.
Get Outbreak?
Yeah, I
oh,
guess
the
so.
Outbreak. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Now I remember.
that's a simple one.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Oh, I forgot about that movie, Outbreak. Who's the other? It's Dustin Hoffman and somebody else big, because I remember the scene with the two of them in the helicopter.
Lawrence Fishburne?
Is it? It might be. I gotta look that up now. This is why we need Wes here. He'd have this off the top of his head.
The Dream Master terrorizes sleeping teenagers and makes them scream Stella in their sleep.
Nightmare on Elm Street. Card Name Desire.
Yep. Matt,
Well done.
I seriously,
Well done.
I don't understand how you haven't seen the video beforehand, because you're
Morgan
getting these-
Freeman.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
who it is. It's Morgan Freeman. He's
okay.
the military guy, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is it? Yeah. He's like a commander, and Morgan Freeman's Morgan Freeman's a commander, and Dustin Hoffman's a scientist or something.
A man must survive the murderous intentions of a good guy doll so he and a curtain ring salesman can get home to Chicago in time for Thanksgiving.
Child's Play, Trains,
and automobiles. Yeah.
Yeah, Child's Play and Trains and Automobiles.
Sorry.
No, you're
No, that was.
You had it.
I had that one too, but
you got these.
yeah.
Okay, here we go. Let me go through the last video and then we're almost done. And then we'll be out of here. I love these.
You in this game.
For more background, when I broke my leg, we played this the entire night in the hospital. It was mostly me, my dad, and Frankie's dad.
We did this and Pod Quiz on when we were in Maine, all the driving.
Oh, Pod Quiz is great.
Yeah, shout out to Pod Quiz.
Shout out. This podcast is brought to you by Pod Quiz. Please go listen to them. It's an amazing trivia podcast.
Donate some cash to them.
Shout out to our old sponsors, Steak and Shake.
And also Sky Zone.
Who was our first sponsor on Savage?
It might have been
Stash?
Steak. It might have been Steak and Shake.
I think it was Steak and Shake.
Was that the first one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A murderous machete-wielding killer terrorizes promiscuous camp counselors before magically turning into an adult woman who swiftly finds that being a grown-up isn't as easy as it seems.
Friday the 13th going on 30?
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go. I think you did that one last time when we were together.
Yeah,
actually.
I've done most of these when we were together. The curator of the Bates Motel goes on a musical journey to the afterlife to discover the secrets of his rich Mexican heritage.
Psycho Coco?
Yeah. Wow.
Or Psycho.
Psycho. Matt, these are not even close to stumping you. You're just like...
We got to get hard ones for Matt. He's too good at this.
I know. I was trying to get some hard ones.
When the kids go to bed, I watch a ton of movies.
Clearly.
Even before that, though, like I got a whole database of useless knowledge of movies.
What happened to passing out on the floor? I thought that's what you did when you got home.
Yeah, well, give me some time.
He's not that buzzed. Matt, do you have any that you remembered? Or sorry, Aaron, while I'm looking for the next.
Oh gosh, man, it's been a while since we were doing these. I don't know. I can't do them off the top of my head now because I'm like on the spot.
Yeah, I had like a bunch that I had thought up.
Was there anything else you want to cover with the podcast?
No, I just
since we're over 2 hours.
I just like playing this game. I'm sorry. All right. No, I mean, yeah. Go ahead, Matt.
No. I was just gonna say that's essentially 2/3 of an NFL football game.
Yeah.
Look at us go.
There you go.
With no commercial breaks.
And far less concussions.
So,
well, I mean, we're still early. Maybe we can.
Do you want me to name our guests one more time and just have the entire list of everybody that was in the first season? Does
that would be great.
Is that?
Yeah, we can do that.
Do we care? Is that okay?
I mean, I care about.
We
my
could
guests.
say our favorite moments from each of them.
Oh, favorite moments from each guest.
Oh, that's a cool one.
Quick fire round. You have to say something quick about the guest. Yep.
All right. This is our bonus extra credit time.
Yep. Okay. Go ahead.
Episode 1, Evan Cronenberg, talking about Savage Stash.
Waffle House.
The little sack he gave us.
It's called a fanny pack.
Fanny pack.
There we go. Good.
Mine for that was how many times he dropped the F-bomb, and when we realized we'd have to only have one per episode.
It was a staggering amount.
And when we didn't continue following that rule, it's
not always.
Yep.
Yeah, it took a little bit.
Yep.
Episode 2 was Justin Yost from the Secret Songs of Us, talking about his music and his cutting boards. And it was woodworking, I should say, not just the cutting board, but the woodworking.
Did he tell the story on the air of the
credit card theft?
The credit card theft?
He did not. He did not.
And
but
that was a great story.
Yeah. We'll have him back on for that. He had his identity stolen. It was great.
So he told
that was one hell of a story. Yeah. But that was your favorite moment.
That was my favorite moment.
That's fair. No.
That's fair.
For me, I think it was the talking about parental advisory stickers. His mom, because him and I had a very similar upbringing of like, hey, you can't get those parental advisory sticker CDs.
I liked making fun of him for his lyrics about taking a drive to Ocean City on 95.
Exactly.
Because you can't get to Ocean City on 95.
Hit a 95 and just go driving.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we gave him crap about
Delaware.
that.
I know. I make fun of him for that every day. Anyway, regardless.
Episode 3 was Greg Wellham. Am I saying that right?
Wellham.
Greg Wellham from Super City.
He's going to play your wedding, right?
He's going to play my wedding, yeah.
Yeah, what else do I remember? Oh, his random weed.
Yeah, him casually bringing up pot and how it could
Kind of tiptoeing around it until Chris is like, "It's okay.
You can
talk
say
about
marijuana. It's fine."
Like this is your podcast.
Yeah,
you
no,
use
that's
it
good.
as you
Yeah,
will.
I think having him sit and play a song for us, even though he wasn't super happy with how the song sounded or how my
that was
crappy
cool.
guitar sounded, it was just
Yeah.
fun having him play a song for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weed and music.
Yeah, for me, I would say it kind of ties off yours with the song thing, but I liked he was showing us some of the stuff that he like wanted to work on or that he like kind of had in mind for like future projects. And also telling us about how his band had the dance choreography thing was really cool.
Yeah.
That they do while they play.
Yeah.
Episode 4 was Ben Stahl. He talked about I Make Mobile and Howl at the Moon and some music that he's done.
His short film that he told us about the like two people go into a room and have to decide which one.
Oh,
of
the
them,
sorting room.
Yeah, which one of them dies. That was
Which
Still have
Wes
not
was in,
seen
who's
that.
later.
that was crazy.
I've got to see that episode.
Yeah.
Or I got to see that movie.
Yeah.
Like, I remember walking out of there going, yeah, I'm going to totally watch it. I have not watched it.
Yeah.
But the Eminem stuff, as I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Doing Eminem.
Actually, and this is off air too, but we did record it, was the jam session, because Ben does a lot of cover music in his job, so we like sat around and just went song after song after song, and that was really cool, just jumping thing to thing.
And taking a photo of Emily, that was her name, right?
Oh yeah, Emily
Emily,
was
yeah.
awesome. We got to have her back.
Yeah, Emily.
And like,
She was a
she's
lot of
like
fun.
jamming out to like Backstreet Boys. I Want It That Way, right?
Yeah.
God, we did sing that, didn't we? Let's see. Episode.
Did you say what your favorite moment of that was?
Yeah, the sorting room.
Okay.
Yeah. Episode 5. The guest was Megan and Sean Doyle.
I think just hearing them talk about how they have kind of played off of each other and how like his love of fitness and health has kind of gotten her involved in that world a lot more, and her involvement in the faith world has gotten him involved in his faith a little bit more.
Them doing the joint Instagram account. A lot of people use Instagram to like boast about what they're doing, but they're boasting about them together as a couple is kind of cool.
Oh, nice. I like that. For me, it was actually more of a technical thing of I was just excited that we actually had 2 people on, because I think that's the first, maybe even the only episode really that we had 2 people.
That's officially the only episode.
Simultaneously like
Right.
talking. So as sort of editor producer, it was like trying to make sure that we keep moving the mic back and forth to get them. So it was like, okay, this is something new. So that's kind of cool.
Definitely.
Let's see. Episode 6 was Chrissy Carl's Baltimore EMT.
Her first call, like dealing with
That was a hell of a story.
Yeah. The dude all drugged out.
Trial by fire. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stabbed his friend like 6 times or
Right.
something.
Mine
It's
was
like,
a little
what?
less intense. I really enjoyed learning about field hockey because I knew nothing about field hockey.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about the field hockey.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Well, it's kind of easy when
Yeah.
someone's getting
We
stabbed
haven't
6 times.
also, so everybody knows, we haven't re-listened to any of these episodes yet, so we haven't really gotten to dive back in.
Yeah.
So we don't remember everything from each
You guys are going to know the
conversation.
show better than we will.
For me, honestly, again, this was outside the podcast, a little more personal level, just kind of like reconnecting with her a little bit and getting to know more about her, because I knew her through a cousin and a friend of mine, and we kind of hung out a few times and like seen each other at parties and stuff like that. But that's like one of the more recent times that we like really hung out and I really got to know her story. So it's kind of cool that I didn't have that moment Chris talked about earlier with, you know, when you meet somebody at a party and you're kind of like, well, what do you do? Like, I've always kind of heard it in passing. So that was almost like me experiencing that on the spot to hear a lot more about her that I didn't know.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. Episode 7 was Jimmy Deptford. Did I say that right?
Deptford hip.
Deptford. And his thing, he talked about ice hockey and, of course, that incredible story about his life and how he got to where he was.
Right, like about how many second chances he had and how lucky he realized he was. I think that story would be like, you know, like could be like for a lot of people cliche, but it wasn't.
I also
at all.
think it's like necessary for a lot of people,
Right.
that conversation.
Right.
Like there are so many people I know that just like that don't even have the same experience as him, but that could really help. It would help them to hear that conversation.
Yeah.
I think for me, similar to you with bringing your friend on, I think for me it was, I knew this stuff about Jimmy. I've had these conversations. I didn't know all of those details.
Sort of rediscovering.
But, well, not even just rediscovering, but also being able to, like, I think a lot of times people can look at, like, if you pass Jimmy on the street, he seems like the strong, silent type, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so much, like, from me knowing him, there's so much more to him than what's on the surface. And for the record, what's on the surface is super interesting as well. Like, play hockey. I'm just a regular guy kind of thing. Like, but I think that I wanted people to see what I saw, because I know all those things, but I wanted other people to understand it because he's inspired me in so many ways.
For me, I never, out of all the guests that we had, I never saw another guest that didn't want to talk about himself.
Oh yeah, totally.
And I mean that in a good way.
Yeah.
Like, he made so much that episode about his wife and like what he's overcome and all that, and just like the way he presented stuff, like everybody else is a little bit like, this is what I'm into, this is what I like, blah blah blah, but his was such a dynamic change to, it was almost like we'd ask him and he just kind of gave us the response that we were looking for.
Yep.
And I don't mean that in a bad way, it's almost like hard to put into words, but
I think it's every success that he's had, he gave credit to other people.
Yeah.
He was not responsible for any of it.
Even though when you really think about it, it's like, no, like, you overcame that, and yet he gave so much more of that to other people, and to see that in somebody is such a genuine thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that it's just, wow. I was like, nobody else really approached things that way, and that's really amazing to see. It just shows his character as a person.
Yeah.
Let's see. Episode 8, we had Katie Sampaio. She did the Eat to Thrive as well as the traveling Instagram.
She made me want to go to Costa Rica really bad.
She to me represents so much of like stuff I see online all the time, but like she actually put her life on the line, and people, like, I know, like, she talks on her Instagram about haters and that kind of stuff, like, so like the idea that like to pack up your life and just sort of live and document it is still like incredibly courageous. So like, I kind of dig that element of, all right, this is my life, I'm going to share it, and hopefully people find it interesting.
Yeah, she's very brave.
I like that. For me, I would say I liked that I was bringing in somebody that was very much, I barely knew that much about her. And I wanted to, again, I look at ways that I can throw you guys curveballs. That was very intentional. To be like, we're going to see how this goes if we did just like find somebody and ask them, like, without really knowing anything about them, see how good you guys can do as hosts and how far you've come with having the previous experience of episodes to say, like, here's somebody that you are going to have to learn from scratch. Mm-hmm. That was number one. Number two, a little bit on that too, was the fact that she actually did publish a book, her own book that was on Amazon that did pretty well. And for me, as somebody who's kind of a writer on the side, like, I did like to see that, to be like, here's someone that actually has done that, because that's something that I want to do. Like, that's a life goal for me, to actually say, there's my book published somewhere. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Let's see. Guest number 9 was Catherine Depfer, Jimmy's wife. She talked about Harvard. She talked about Jimmy, family stuff, all kinds of things.
Yeah, she was all over the place. I loved it.
The one thing that stuck out to me was, she's her. This is not to sound mean at all, but she's her biggest fan in a lot of ways. Like, she knows she's got something to give the world.
Yeah, in like, a good way, not a superficial, like a really like, I've been blessed with these many things and it's my duty to share them.
She's figuring it out and like plotting.
Yeah.
You know, like, she's just not going to jump into life in a sort of like, all right, this is, I'm here. like she's gonna put in the time, but she knows at a certain point she's gotta like contribute to the world in a major way.
Yeah, she has a lot of gifts, and she knows that like it's not fair. She wants to share them because she feels like she has that responsibility to kind of bring that to other people and help other people find those gifts. Because I think she's done a very good job of again, similar to Jimmy, knowing who she is, knowing where she's come from, and saying, my story could potentially help other people grow and I can help teach other people, and being able to share that. I think one of the biggest things for me is just her relationship with her brother is really great. And I think it's, we obviously got to see it firsthand with them here together, but like, I've never thing. Like, maybe it's the twins thing, but I have never seen two siblings that like, all the siblings that I know, they definitely seem to like each other and love each other a lot. But I've never seen two siblings that I'm like, oh, they are each other's best friend. Yeah. Like they just like and they're so different. Like they are such different people that it's so cool to see them just like they're each other's biggest cheerleaders. And I think that's really, really cool to see, like, how important family was to them.
For me, I think the coolest thing of that was actually, Chris, you telling the story about how the two of them got together.
I'll tell that story to everybody every day. I still take credit for that shit.
But it's so crazy. Like that story is just incredible. Like the things that just happened to happen, and like, you know, every little bit of just, if this hadn't worked out this slight way, and the fact that they're like married and happy and all that, and it like started with just this little tiny happenstance that just blew up into something so much bigger. Like it was just like, wow, what a cool story.
The Capitals were responsible for bringing them together.
Yep.
Damn right.
Not anybody.
And the year they got married, they won the Stanley Cup. Damn right.
And
there'll be a Fever Pitch 2 with
there you go.
Oh my gosh, why have we not talked about making this movie Fever Pitch? But it's about them like finding each other and the Capitals winning the Stanley Cup.
Because that's a baseball term.
Well, we obviously don't call it Fever Pitch.
Did you know that?
What?
Fever Pitch was based on a soccer book.
Ooh, see,
but
take that.
But there's still a pitch in soccer.
Well,
so a pitch in
Air Bud was originally a football movie, but they made, or a basketball movie, but they made it a football movie.
Golden Receiver.
Exactly. Just make it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I'm done with both of you.
Well,
all right.
Actually, hold on. Here's the thing. First, what we need to do is we need to make a Fever Pitch 2.
Okay.
That's going to be about soccer or football or something. And then this one is Fever Pitch 3 Hat Trick.
I hate you.
You know you love it. It's so good. That's the right name for that movie. Anyway, go ahead.
And finally, episode 10, our last episode, was Wes to talk about DC Stunt Coalition, a little bit of working with Ben on I Make Mobile, and a bunch of different creative things. A little bit of wrestling in there, too.
I love when he tried to replace me on the podcast.
Hashtag not bitter.
Thanks for joining us in this week's episode of Making the Bed.
And play
it's Ben.
I think that like hearing about how a dude was a wrestler and then stumbled into stunt work, I think is just generally just an interesting story of like how rolling with the punches in life you can find happiness.
Yeah. Well, that's a good way to put it. I
Yeah.
like that. Oh, Chris, you already said yours was being replaced on the podcast, right?
Yeah,
Nothing else you want to add?
Piece of shit. Yeah, no, I think Wes, again, I think Wes was one of the more free-flowing conversations, and I think that it's fun to come in with people that you already have a dynamic with, because I think one thing that was interesting about Wes as opposed to other people, I think for the most part, most of our guests have known one of us, but they haven't known
like two or more
of us. And Wes knew you and I pretty well.
Right.
None of our guests have known Matt because Matt hasn't brought any of his friends onto the podcast.
Season 2, stay tuned.
Season 2, stay
Season
tuned.
Season 2.
Yep.
I bring my one friend, my son Liam.
It's gonna be a son.
I can't wait for that. It's gonna be the best episode yet.
Like,
and Liam's gonna say he doesn't know who that is.
Seriously, one thing we need to make sure is in here at that time is just some pizza and some snacks because like he won't go anywhere if there's something to eat
Yeah. Okay.
right in front of him.
Why haven't we done that? Like, we haven't had enough food here. We've had plenty of alcohol, but we haven't had hardly any food at these things.
Season 2, I have plans.
Season
Frankie's doing her Italian hands back there.
Exactly. Yep.
Where's
yeah.
the pasta?
Frankie's like, we need food. Why is there not enough food?
Where's the charcuterie plate?
You have 3 people in a room, so clearly we need 10 trays of lasagna.
So,
Oh, man.
yeah, I actually, I agree with you on that one, Matt. I almost, all the other ones I tried to come up with my own thing with that, but just knowing Wes through all that stuff, it's amazing how he has like a lot of things that haven't gone his way in life or that he's not really happy with, but the way he's managed to like keep going forward is, like you said, he's passionate about creativity, anything with creativity. And so it's kind of like, yeah, when stuff sucks, you just need that one thing to start the snowball of like, this is what I do like doing, this is what my hobby or my passion, and everything else you can deal with that because you have that sort of release or that getaway. And then of course his silky smooth radio voice.
Yeah, his voice is as honestly what the thing that bothered me most about being replaced and
Is that he's
stealing
better than you?
He's so much better than me. Oh my gosh.
He was your Veronica Corningstone.
Ah, yes.
Yes.
He's better than me.
I was like, oh, I'm shit. I'm Pawnee, he's Eagleton, basically.
Aw.
Yeah.
We've had many,
You're the
many
bad
Parks
place. He's the
Parks
good
and Rec
place.
references.
Not
Yeah, we
enough,
did.
if you ask me. Yeah. What we need to have is more Letterkenny references,
Yes.
am I right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the thing that gets me out of bed is Letterkenny. We showed that if you haven't watched Letterkenny, please go watch Letterkenny. It's on Hulu.
on Hulu, yeah.
It's also on Daily Motion if you want to watch it mirrored because somebody broke the law and recorded it.
That depends on the version you get on Daily Motion. There's some
Most of
regular
the versions I watch are mirrored.
But yeah, now they're all going to be pulled from Daily Motion.
Exactly. Daily Motion listens to this podcast.
That's Matt's homework, actually, between this season and next season is
watch Letterkenny.
watch Letterkenny.
Oh man, I'm ready for it.
All right, so we covered all that. I think this has been a long one, but it's been a pretty cool one.
Yeah.
Is there anything you guys want to say as we're signing off here? Do we have? Are we doing closing music at all? What are we
do
doing
the
with
closing.
this?
Do the closing music.
All right.
Do the closing music. So I think that I just appreciate you guys sitting down with me and doing this for the past 10 episodes, and I'm excited to see what we can do in season 2 and see how many more conversations we can have, because again, we have tons of people that we want to start talking to.
So like and subscribe to our podcast.
We're on iTunes and Podbean, and we're gonna be on Spotify hopefully by this point, maybe.
Find us on Facebook, Instagram.
I mean, I don't think we're technically on anything yet, but we will.
No,
be.
but we will be. But
Yeah.
by the time they hear this, they will.
Yeah. We should have our episodes out. They'll be coming out weekly.
If
all
you
that.
want to give us anything less than 5 stars,
Don't.
don't. Nobody likes you.
Yeah, rate and review 5 stars only.
Yeah. So by the time everybody hears this, we'll be officially launched and going public and all that. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
So when's the plan to start season 2? What do you guys think?
I mean,
we gonna-
for them it'll be next week. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, are we taking a break for the holidays, or what do you think? Start in the new year? Or are we just going to keep rolling with it and say let's keep going with the irons hot? You know?
Yeah, I'd like to keep going if we can, but I mean, we might have to take a week or 2 off because of the holidays. I don't know.
No, I fully expect to be here on Christmas Day.
Might need to play the outro music.
I know, right? I figured I'd just kind of let it roll and see what happens with it.
Just play it again.
It's going around. It's coming around.
Coming back down. No, I think we'll probably take like a week or 2 off for Christmas. And
Come
the
back
New Year.
after the new year.
Yeah, maybe.
Get ready.
Bring some more people on. But anyway, by the time this comes out, it'll probably be like July.
March,
Yeah.
April, June, July, whatever. Chris will be married by then.
I'll be married by then. I got the old ball and chain. Gotta get back to, guys.
Well-
she just kicked me.
Well, since we may not see people for the holidays, we will say Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever you're celebrating.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New
Happy
Year.
Kwanzaa.
Hey,
Happy New Year. Happy Hanukkah.
Hey, Justin, play us out. Thanks.
See ya.
We'll see you guys in season 2.